It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
Hey, it's 10 a.m. and this is Utah's best sports radio.
Say my name.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome in on a Friday. Scotty G taking a little bit of a long weekend. David James filling in for the start of the show here, along with the coach, Tim LaComb, and a little birthday music because somebody's having a birthday today, Tim LaComb.
Yeah, who is that somebody?
What kind of cake do you go for? When the wife asks, what's the birthday cake, what do you choose?
I'm so old, we don't even do cake anymore, dude.
No, you've got grandkids. Do the cake. Only have a bite or two for yourself. I get that. But come on now. You got to
celebrate. I'm an almond or vanilla. I'm pretty straightforward, bro.
Wow. Okay.
You don't deviate much from just about center point for me.
German chocolate. Check.
No.
Carrot cake. Check.
I like carrot cake. I do like carrot cake.
Yeah, carrot cake's good.
That sounds awful.
Why?
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of carrot cake.
You've never had carrot cake?
No, I've had it. Not a fan.
And you don't like it? Oh, interesting. Well, I'll take your piece then. That's good.
No, we'll go almond today because you're here too, and you're down the line. I mean, you're DJ. Who doesn't know DJ?
All right, we have many topics to hit, Tim, and we've got to get to the NBA playoffs. The Utah Jazz, Jon Wilner, or as PK calls him, the Hammer, from the San Jose Mercury News, and you're at KSL.com. He will be here to talk about money and college athletics at 11 o'clock. But let us start first with Ron McBride. Ron was in studio with DJ and PK Thursday morning. He's got a concert coming up at the State Fair Park with the Head and the Heart. $50 tickets available at his website, ronmcbridefoundation.org. And he was talking about, we had him in as part of the spring football tour in addition to talking about his concert, and he's raising money for after-school programs. And we ran him through the local schools, and his take on the Aggies, just let Bronco be Bronco. Bronco has been doing it a long time. You know what you're going to get with Bronco, and it ranges usually between pretty good and very good. So just let Bronco be Bronco and don't get in the way. And then at the U, he thought, well, the D-line, that was his big question mark, is how good is the D-line? He thought there's one good edge rusher, one or two tackles he really likes, but usually you want more players than that, and he thinks the players that have to develop, will they or won't they, that's the thing to watch. And obviously they got the returning quarterbacks, they got the returning running back. I think they probably rebuild the O-line. We got a hint of that in the bowl game because the guys who are head of the NFL don't want to play in the bowl game. So you already could start to see the transition, and it looked really good against Nebraska. So it has to be done, but it probably gets done. And then he got to BYU, and very complimentary of their team speed. Thought they did a good job of keeping the team together for multiple reasons. And then he got to what can only be described as effusive praise of Bear Bachmeier.
I've seen all these first-round draft choices in person, the ones at SC and other schools, and I've watched them in practice. And this kid is, in my opinion, is better than all of them. I mean, he's a special – the Bachmeier kid is a special player, and I think he's in a league by himself.
All right, that surprised me right there. I have talked to, we've seen BYU people talk on camera and on the record, and have had a chance to have some off-the-record communication with them as well, and so have other people on the staff. PK certainly has, Yak has, you probably have, Tim, as someone who worked down there. You can crack the code.
Yeah, I know the entry points.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
And so they're very positive about him, both publicly and privately, and they were from the get-go. They've never really – now, I haven't heard them project out, and I got to say that surprises me. He's played 14 games last year, and we didn't hear that from other people. Now, maybe he's progressed a bit, and maybe the Big 12 is just off the radar enough. We should have heard more about him, and we didn't. But the general take that he's good and going to get better, yes. That he's better than NFL first-round draft picks, I got to say, Mac's the first one I've heard say that, although I've never asked around about it either. I mean, it's at least a couple years away, so that hadn't come to the forefront yet. So it surprised me. What do you think?
Yeah, so I definitely, I was driving around and I heard that yesterday live, and, it struck me too, because the one thing I definitely respect is the eye of a veteran coach. And, Mac's got a great eye. And the thing that you have to take into account is the kid did what he did last year. I mean, nobody was even talking about him. He transfers in quietly and, with all of the drama, ends up taking the spot and then does what he did last year. I mean, I think the bottom line is his makeup is right, for a quarterback. He's a guy who he can take a hit, he can extend a play. What I want to see more this year, DJ, is him throwing down the field. 11% of his throws were deep throws, and that was like 115th nationally. So I think to add to what he's done, which is, hey, I think he can run a team. I think he can run a winning team. But I think for him, that Texas Tech game, they really could use the ability to kind of throw down the field a little bit in other games as well. And I think that's the step I'm excited to see him make this year, hopefully, is to complete some more of those and throw some more of those.
I love me a good stat, and I love that you just threw that stat out, Tim. But now I got to shoot it down.
Well,
he's not out
sitting
there.
Here. Shoot it down.
Okay, he's not out there just auditioning for NFL people and fulfilling the stat wishes of people in the media like you and me, as much as I would like that. They went 11-1, so the way the plays were called and the choices they made were really good. And the one game they lost, and eventually they went 12-2, obviously, but just focusing on the 12 games you schedule and you can control. But going to even 14-12-2, they only lost to one team, and it was Texas Tech twice. And they could not block Texas Tech.
Right.
And so there's no chance to throw the ball down the field. And the other 12 games, they didn't really need to throw the ball down the field.
Right. No, I get it.
Maybe
but
there
I'm
will
just
be more.
I'm just talking about his progression, right?
Yeah. I mean, scouts want to see it. It's not just a youth thing. NFL scouts are going to want to see it too, and they'll have questions about why didn't you do it. And they have access. I mean, it's not that we don't have access to Kalani and to A-Rod because they're pretty available. I mean, Kalani lets his coordinators talk every week, and lots of schools don't do that. And so I'm grateful they do. Anything you can do to pull the curtain back for the fans, and I mean, you're pulling it back for the media, but then the media talk to the fans. So I feel like they're not pulling it back for us. They're pulling it back for the fans. It is great, and I'm glad they do it. And I didn't really hear anybody else go down this road with A-Rod. Maybe now we will. But A-Rod's about, what's great is winning the game.
No,
that's
right.
what's great.
Yeah.
One
that's
more
what
point
Morgan
than the
said
other guys.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Morgan said that when we were talking about, because I brought up Kevin McGivern, and Kevin McGivern has a penchant to throw that ball around.
Right.
And so I brought it up, and he's like, we want to still be balanced. We still want to be attacking, whether it's throwing the ball, running the ball. And that's really what you're looking for. You're looking for a balanced approach that you can keep the other team guessing. They got to put somebody up. You run the ball well, they got to put more people in the box, and it gives you the ability to throw it.
Yep. Well, A-Rod does like to throw the ball down the field. I've heard plenty of people say that over the time he's been calling plays at Utah and BYU. And then if he doesn't one year, it's like, well, do the receivers have the speed to go get it? Can you block long enough to give the quarterback a chance to throw it? Do you need to? Or are you protecting a lead and trying to shorten a game? There's a lot of things that go into it. And then no matter what he calls, then the players, they got to execute it. A guy's in open, somebody comes free. Even if you call it, it doesn't mean it happens.
Here's another stat for you to consider.
Oh, boy.
You shot my first one down.
All right, here we go.
All right. And we're talking not look, I'm all about BYU winning games. And you got to win games the way you win games. So this is just, talking about his development down the road. But when he tried to stretch the defense beyond 20 yards, that's where the drop-off came. And it was actually between the numbers, he was 11 for 20. So middle of the field, down the field, 20 yards, he was 11 for 20.
Okay.
Outside the numbers, he was 2 for 23 on throws outside the numbers, and only 4 of those 23 were accurate throws. So, I mean, to me, that's like the next step for him, is to be able to consistently step back there when needed and deliver that ball.
11 for 20, I don't mind that at all. 55%.
No, that's in the middle of the field, right? Right.
Yeah,
so
but
that's in the middle of the field.
You're down the field, your completion. In the end, you want your quarterback to be at 65%, maybe 70 or closer to 70, depending on the team and the offense. But you got to factor in there's a lot of short, quick throws to tight ends, to backs out of the backfield where your completion rate ought to be a lot higher. So if you're 20-plus yards, and 11, I can live with that. But, boy, those outside the numbers, give the outside the –
Outside the numbers, he was 2 for 23. And only on those 23 passes, only 4 of them were considered accurate catchable passes.
I don't want to get into geometry, but if you're throwing the ball 20 yards downfield and outside the numbers, now depending on where he's standing, that could be a 40 or 50-yard pass.
Hey,
so I expect the numbers to drop, but I do not expect them to drop that far. You're right.
Correct.
There needs to be improvement there.
So those were just numbers that jumped out when I did a little bit of research, knowing, and I heard that yesterday. But the bottom, I think what Mac is saying is this kid he's wise above his years.
Yep.
I think his ability to, because part of being a quarterback is getting buy-in from all those guys and getting the respect from those guys, and I think he certainly has that. He took BYU on. Nobody was expecting what he did last year, and so the cool part about it, and Max saw it yesterday. It seems as though he's growing. That's great news for BYU, particularly when the team you're fighting for the conference title against, their guys, not going to be there because he made like 47,000 bets or something.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
That is a crazy story.
And it's a whole nother story.
Yeah,
but it opens up, BYU's right there.
It might open it up. When does Will Hammond get healthy, and how much of a step forward does he take as a sophomore? Because he showed some stuff as a freshman. He showed it intermittently, which he's a freshman. That's fine. And obviously he was very good against Utah, and then you can look at his stats, and that's not what he did every time he was given an opportunity. Certainly there is a world in which they start Will Hammond and Texas Tech wins the Big 12 title again. But to your point, there's also a world where Will Hammond can't start, or he does start and they're not good enough, and BYU or somebody else wins. Maybe Utah, maybe Houston. We could go down the line. When you consider what happened 2 years ago with Arizona State, you could go way down the line.
Yeah, that's true.
You could go.
Yeah,
you could go to Baylor or
that's
K-State.
NIL, right? A little bit. Somebody has just the right combination of guys.
Yeah. Rich Rod's back in the portal with another 100 players or whatever it is. So who's to say that they don't come from way up the track like the Kentucky Derby champ, who doesn't want to run in the Preakness, but that's another story.
And we do have Jon Wilner on at 11, so we can get into a lot of different football topics. I mean, that dude, Pac-12 forever, so his life's changed a little the last couple of years.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. His topic, I don't know that he's that deep into the rosters, across all these leagues, but I do think he's way deep into how they're going to govern college sports going forward. And I've been reading a story this morning. It's a Sports Business Journal, and there are quotes in it, Tim, and they're the kind of quotes that make me think of you.
Well, thank you.
You were hip deep in basketball in an era where clearly there were people, some of whom you competed directly with, some it was maybe a little more indirect, who were paying players.
Everybody was paying players.
Everybody knew what the rules were, right?
Right.
Here's one Power 4 administrator. Could the CSC, which is this new enforcement thing they've got going, could they set up an enforcement mechanism earlier and better? Sure. But the same schools who claimed they wanted to be governed refused to sign the participation agreement. They don't want it. Nobody wants rules. And then how about this one? Don't listen for 1 minute to the people complaining about the CSC. It's the same thing as the NCAA. We blame the NCAA, but that's us. The NCAA is us. We're the idiots. That is some truth-telling by an unnamed administrator. The NCAA is a collection of schools. Don't pretend like it's those people over there. And the fact is, people don't want to be governed. They don't want to have rules. If the rules are going to keep them from winning and get them fired. If they're going to get fired, then break the rules or don't sign the participation agreement in the first place and win and keep your job. And that is one of the big differences left between the pros and the college. The pros, they don't really cheat on the salary cap. They don't do it.
Well, if you cheat on the salary cap, you will be
You'll be caught. You'll be busted. You'll be
caught.
fined.
You'll be busted. You'll be
And-
the aspiration.
Yeah.
You know, we're waiting to see what happens with the aspiration and our guy Kawhi Leonard, the circumvention.
So
they were
that's such
trying.
a rare case, and it seems to me completely obvious that they're guilty. And they're arguing, and they got lawyers, and they'll keep talking until they win. Maybe. I don't think they should, and it looks to me like they were guilty.
You know, DJ, we had Al Jensen on a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Yep.
And, you know, in the conversation, we were talking about, you know, the things you can and can't do. And he's like, I don't, there really is no, you just kind of have to do it. You know, he's like.
The can't do has gotten shorter or invisible, huh?
Yeah. I mean, he just said there really is no, I mean, when I was there was a book about as thick as a phone book.
Yeah.
You know.
What's a phone book, Coach?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, basically, it's just a big spreadsheet with numbers on it in a book that you would look up people, you know, back in the day. You'd say, David James, I'm going to look him up and see where he lives and what his phone number is.
Yeah.
But David was smart because he probably unlisted that thing as a celeb. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course he did.
Of course I did.
I'm a man of the people. I'm right there. I don't know if the book's still there, but I'd never. It's right there by Lloyd Cole. We're just guys. We don't wear makeup.
Neither do I anymore.
Oh, that's not entirely true. You do a little bit still occasionally, don't you?
Very occasionally. I mean, I'm on Channel 5 once in a while.
Yeah.
I was on when Messi came to town a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
How cool was that?
Maybe I'll do something around the draft.
Was Messi pretty cool?
It was cool. Yeah. It was I probably didn't enjoy it as much as everybody else. We are spoiled and we get to do cool things on a fairly regular basis. And you recognize a one-off like that in the regular season, so early in the regular season, like there's going to be another game, you have to get on to the next thing. And I don't think that night that many people were thinking that way. But I was. It's just like I got the schedule laid out of what I got to do and when I got to do it and all that. And so this is going to be cool, and then we're going to be on to the next thing.
But you were just, it was a game night for you.
But I've been spoiled. I mean, I fully admit it. And people just want to call me, well, you were spoiled, you know. You got to talk to MJ every day for 2 weeks during the NBA Finals 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, but MJ didn't want to talk to me.
But, there were limits, but that's part of what made it so special.
Right.
But Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley, who were hilarious. It's no surprise they're sitting on the same TV set. I mean, I have been spoiled. I've been around celebrities. And the first time I did it, I didn't make any sense. I was speaking gibberish. It was Tommy Lasorda in the Dodger dugout. It was straight out of Anchorman. I couldn't get a word out.
Did you find, so I was recruiting in Scottsdale. I was actually recruiting Matt Carlino back in the day. And went to the house, did our deal, and then I was alone. I went to my favorite restaurant called Houston's in Scottsdale. And I was sitting there eating, and in walk Danny Shays and his wife, former jazz man. And he's on a double date with Charles Barkley and his wife. So I'm sitting there, I'm wearing the brand because I was just at the house. So I've got the BYU shirt.
Sure, you're all geared up. It's a recruiting trip, yeah.
Right. So I'm sitting at the table, and they have this incredible spinach artichoke dip. And you eat it with tortilla chips.
Okay.
And it's to die for, man. I'm telling you, a little sour cream, a little salsa. So I'm just sitting there enjoying it. And they start to get seated. The hostess brings them down the aisle right where I'm sitting. And Danny walks by and nods his wife and Charles' wife, and Charles is last. And he sees my shirt, and he said, "Hey, you know Danny Ainge?" I said, "I happen to. Yes, I coach basketball at BYU." And so Charles sits down at my table, and we start chatting. And he's like, "Do you mind if I have some of your chips?" And so I guess my point is he was exactly what I expected Charles Barkley to be. Yeah. Or at least, like, it was authentic as to what he is on television. He was the same guy. Yeah. But that's not always the case, right?
Oh, that is absolutely not always the case.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat. Like, Charles was real.
I did find that to be the case with Charles Barkley. Now, it's always in a media setting. I'm not hanging out. You have a more private. I haven't really had that kind of interaction with him. I did see him one night. He was local media people were aware that he and the 96, the second Dream Team, they called it, which doesn't really work, but whatever.
Dream Team 2.
Yeah, they were here because they played an exhibition, because Stockton and Malone were on the team going to the 96 Olympics.
That's right.
Prepping, and they went to Green Street, which had karaoke. And so there are people there, and the media is aware he'd been there before. And so a bunch of media people, including me, but I mean like 15. I mean, it was a lot of people were there. And it was just basically staying across the room but gawking at Barkley and Pippen and whoever. And they had some friends there. It was 8 or 10 people. And they were totally quiet. If they hadn't been NBA legends, they would have been like everybody else up there. They were just sitting over there just talking, killing time and all that. And then Barkley got up and sang at the end of the night and cracked everybody up. He got up to sing, and he hadn't been up all night long. He was just sitting at the table. I know there's stories, and they're not great, about younger, less mature, but this is older, mature Barkley. And he's just a dude hanging out. Very normal, like you said. And he got up to sing, but he's hilarious. He gets up and he says, "I'm a free agent." He doesn't say I'm Charles Barkley. He knows everybody in the bar knows who he is, and everybody's staring at him, and the pool tables all know who he is. Yeah, he's like, I don't know. I'm a free agent. I don't know where I'm going to be playing next year. Reggie Miller, as he goes, but I know where Reggie's going to be. And this is when Reggie's the Pacers star, and they have this massive rivalry with the Knicks that has later been documented in a brilliant 30 for 30 by ESPN. I know where Reggie's going to be. And he just kind of waves a point like a showbiz legend at the woman run karaoke, like, you're on my team. Let's do it, right? And she hits the music, and it's bump, 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 bump. And then he croaks a version of New York, New York. I mean,
I love it.
I mean, his golf swing is better than his singing voice. So I'll just leave it at that, okay? But that's what karaoke is. You're not up there because you're Sinatra. You're just up there to have fun and make people laugh. And everybody was just busting up. It was hilarious.
You're spoiled, DJ.
I am. I totally agree. I don't have these brushes with greatness. PK gets in an elevator at some random hotel, and there's always some star there. I never have that. I didn't grow up with it. I didn't expect it, but I have had a bunch of those moments. And it's because we've had really good coaches like you here, Tim, and they've won, and they brought these people to town. And if Stockton and Malone aren't on that team, then they're not here playing that game in the middle of the summer, and that moment doesn't happen.
I had a cool one, not exactly that, but at the Final Four every year, it was like, that was one of the coolest things for me, is the end of every year, basically your coaching convention is at the Final Four. So regardless of whether you're going back there to play or not, you're going to the Final Four. Mm-hmm. So for 12 straight years, I go back. And one year we were having dinner as a staff at a steakhouse. And as we walked in and got our table, we were right adjacent to this big conference room. And so we're sitting there eating, and it was like they had invited a bunch of incredible players back. And it was in Indianapolis, and like literally walking in the room, like Bird walked in, Kareem, Magic, Rodman. So we were positioned perfect just to see him. We didn't bug him or anything. But they all just walked in and had this big gathering. So afterwards, we were kind of hanging around waiting for our car. And Rodman came out, and he was in full boa and everything. Like he had a top hat and boa, feathers on and the whole thing, big old boots with steel toes. And my wife is, she's pretty gutsy. So she walks up to Rodman and is like, "Can I get a picture?" And He kind of looks at her and is like, okay. And so I've got a picture of my wife and Rodman. He's wearing, he is all the way in his getup. But, it's just cool to run into people like that and see people like that. And, they were doing their thing. We were doing ours, but that was a cool night.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Tim, we've gone a long time without talking about the draft, where this might go. We got to do that. I have a thought, and we talked to David Locke about this, and I'm curious if you think Victor Wembanyama factors into the Jazz draft plans, and I will explain why next. Stay with us.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good night's sleep.
G and the coach, Tim LaComb. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
David James sitting in for Scott Garrard. Tim, the coach, is on location at Tim Dolly. And we got a little Pink Floyd because you were at Brit Floyd. How was that?
No. I actually, last night I was at John Bonham's son, Jason. So John Bonham was the original drummer for Led Zeppelin. And his son, Jason, has a touring group that basically plays their music as good as they did.
Now all this makes much more sense. I was a little confused, but I was just going with it.
So anyhow, no, it's all good. I'm telling you guys, I was just telling Brant
good show.
And Benjamin, our guys here on site. Oh, I closed my eyes and it was like I was in London in 1971. Like, it was so cool. That is the one band. If I could see any band and like just snap my fingers in their prime, it would be Led Zeppelin. And so last night was awesome. They dress like them, they play like them, they sound like them. So it was cool. A great little. It was at the Union, which is a neat little room as well. So I had a blast.
The NBA draft is a little more than a month away right now, and talking with David Locke this morning. There's a thing in sports where sometimes a team has to build a team to beat another team. You know who's standing between you and a championship, and you got to tweak that roster so you match up with Club X, whoever it is. Number one, I guess, Tim, do you buy that? Number two, if you do, and if you're Austin Ainge, Danny Ainge, Jay-Z, Ryan Smith, Will Hardy, anybody else in the brain trust that's going to be in the room debating all these players right now, A, do you buy that theory? And B, if you do you look at the Spurs and think, we have to beat the Spurs in Wembayama? And Wembayama at any given moment seems to defend at least a third and maybe half of the court. He's just so big and he covers up so much ground so quickly. And if it's true, then you need big guys who can shoot the three and stretch the floor. So no matter who they put him on, he has to go all the way to the three-point line. And then you put that guy all the way on the sideline so he's as far away from everybody else as possible. And that makes me think that, A, we'll have a debate here going forward. The fan, and by we, I mean the fan base, media included, and maybe Jazz people as well. Markkanen's getting paid like he's the best player on the team, but is he really – should he be the second or third best player on the team? Is he really a superstar, or is he really a very elite role player? And with the Angels coming from Boston, I would say, well, Derek White's the elite role player there. I have so much respect for him, and I have zero illusion that guy can carry a team. But my gosh, you get him on the floor, and that dude makes winning plays at unpredictable times and unpredictable fashions. Might be a big shot, might be a great pass, might be grabbing a rebound, might be saving a ball that's going out of bounds, but White always seems to make a play, and then you go, oh, that was a huge play, and it was White again. So what is Markkanen going forward, and do they need to draft someone now who has the size and can spread the floor? Because if you don't spread the floor against Wembayama, you are doomed.
Well, so there's a lot there, but I'll unpack it. I think, number one, I think you're dead on. You have to be aware. If you're not aware of the surroundings and what you have to compete against to do what you want to do, that's not very smart. And so I think as the Jazz have put this thing together, and particularly I think the capper was Jaren Jackson Jr., because what Jaren does now is he moves Lowry to a wing position. And Lowry, to me, I said it from the very beginning, DJ, the great part about Lowry is during this phase, he could be anything from your best player to 1A to 2 to 3. Lowry's going to score no matter what. You know, the Jazz don't necessarily, they run action for him, but a lot of what Lowry gets is, extra passes, kicks. He got way better this year at cutting and attacking the basket. And so I think as the Jazz are presently constituted, if you roll out a starting lineup next year, and this is all in theory, but as the Jazz sit right now and without this next pick, I mean, it's looking like Keontae, Ace, Lowry, Jaren, and Walker. I mean, that's a massive, massive team.
Yep.
And you saw, there is no one that can basically stop Wemby alone. And so the way you stop him is with length. You got to be in the gaps. He's got to have dig threats. As he drives the ball, he's got to be wary of a long arm reaching in from an off-ball defender and tipping it away. And that's what length does for you. And so defensively, the Jazz are going to be markedly better just because they're longer. But then the emphasis to me is going to be on the defensive end. That's what Will has talked about. So with all that being said, I don't know that you draft a player in this draft to necessarily totally address that, but it's in your thought process for sure. And, the bottom line is Danny, Austin, Justin, Ryan, those guys, they just want to get the best possible player they can get. And, I have the belief that there isn't anybody in this draft that they need to feel like they got to move around for. I think they are in a perfect spot to get a very good player. And these 40 days now dictate, what player that'll be.
Is the goal, well, I guess the where this question goes next is Boozer has the three-point stats to suggest he might actually be the best three-point shooter out of the top four guys. Now, his elite athleticism is the reason he's been listed usually as third in mock drafts, right? He's not a guy, he's not a high flyer. He's just not. Dybantsa will take off and seemingly soar to the rim, and that's just not Boozer's game. There are 20 other things that guy can do, but that's just not one of them. However, do we overvalue that because it's easy to see and it's entertaining? And should we further devalue it because nobody's jumping over Wembanyama anyway, so what does it matter? And should that boost Boozer's stock in this draft?
Well, Boozer's number one on some boards, I know.
But probably for this line of thinking, right? The people who are doing that are thinking the things I just said. That's the best case for Boozer.
I mean, that's the NBA, right? The NBA today is ball screen pop. If you have a four-man that can space the floor, it's going to help all your other guys so much because they're actually going to have a little space to play, as opposed to when you don't. Teams can't camp in the lane in the NBA, but they can sit at the nail or the elbow or the block. They can sink off that guy and not really respect him, which just muddies everything else up. To Boozer's point, the measurement, looking at the measurements from the combines, Boozer's listed as a loser in that regard. He measured 6 and 8 and 2 1/4 barefoot, making him closer to like 6'9". He's got a 7'1" wingspan and a 9-foot standing reach, which are great, but the height number is a little lower than people thought it would be. He's a below the rim guy, but you hit on it. I think Boozer is the safest pick right now. Like if you want just a guy that's going to come in and play, no question.
Yep.
He's going to hit the ground running. He's going to hit the ground running Flip hit the ground running because he can handle it and he can shoot it a teeny bit. He can attack. And so he had some success early. Boozer's will be in spades compared to that, right? Boozer he'll look really, really comfortable in the spots he's in. Where he's going to struggle, though, perhaps is he's limited to perhaps guarding one position, and that's always a little bit of an iffy thing.
Yep.
So all sorts of things you have to consider outside of just being able to step out and shoot. So the due diligence part of this thing, it is so intense, and that's what this is all going to be. I've had plenty of conversations in the last couple of days with a lot of people in and around the league. And, I feel like everybody's kind of in that boat. I don't know that anybody's like, I know this is our bona fide number one. And so this is going to be very, very interesting. Every single day there's going to be little nuggets coming out. And we're going to try to stay on top of it, get sound, and try to analyze this thing as well.
I think the worst case scenario for these guys, for Boozer, it's what you say about guarding one position, because then if you need to switch into pick and roll and on ball screens and that, well, he can't because he's going to be switching on somebody he can't guard, somebody who's too big for him, somebody who's too quick for him. So that's the thing when they assign someone in the room, don't let us get over our heels here. Devil's advocate, tear apart whatever we say. That's where they're going to go on him. But for the other players, well, can Caleb Wilson shoot the three? Can A.J. Dybantsa shoot the three? Because if Dybantsa ends up being a 42%, let's say he is one of those guys who really gets in the gym and gets that three-pointer really dialed in, and he ends up being a 41 or 42% three-point shooter. Well, look out. He's the number one pick. He's going to win championships because he does so many other things. That's his fatal flaw. But does he shoot 39% or 36%, or he has major confidence issues? He only shoots 33%. Now, as David Locke pointed out, well, you don't have to guard him when he's off the ball. You can go help, and the whole offense is going to get clunky. And Locke's point is that's what's happening with Paolo Banchero in Orlando.
Yeah, they just sink and sit.
Yeah, and the same thing with Caleb Wilson, maybe even probably more questions about him than Dybantsa's three. he doesn't, is he going to be a 33, 36, 39, or 42% guy? And then with Peterson, it's availability. Well, what if he's a guy who's just perpetually hurt? A smaller version of Embiid. You love him when he's playing, and then Locke broke down his three-point numbers, and actually there's a little concern, as smooth as he is when he's scoring and he's rolling, his three-point numbers kind of above the break, the wing, high wing area kind of, not good at all. But again, there's a chance. There's no way when you look at the history of the NBA that all three of these guys are going to become great three-point shooters. That's not going to happen. But one of them might, and you got to figure out which one. And don't take the one who has a confidence issue and drops all the way to 33, because there's a big difference between 33 and 37. You can live with 37, but it's not special. But 33 will mess you up in a heartbeat.
Well, you hit on something big there, and that is the fact that somebody is going to be willing to shoot them, too, if they're not very good.
Right.
Because we watched Ben Simmons come into the league, and he basically – that was just a part of the floor he didn't even operate from. You want to talk about teams not guarding a guy. It just makes it hard for everybody. And one other thing I want to touch on in your estimation, talking about Boozer's ability or inability to switch on the wing, and we'll see, what he can do. To me, his lateral looked pretty good in the combine. I watched some of that. So, time will tell, but that's one of the beautiful things about that lineup I threw up for the Jazz. You can, in effect, switch 1 through 4 there. And in emergency cases, Walker can guard a guard for a bit. He's quick enough to use his length vertically to kind of thwart a shot, but also give himself a little bit of space to be prepared for a drive left or a drive right. And he can do that for a counter, too. So that's one thing I love about it, too, is you have real versatility, not only on the offensive end with what the Jazz are putting together, and this piece they add will only add to that. But, that's a real positive sign, because the Jazz have not really been able to switch a whole lot, exclusively. And you want to have that in your bag sometimes. You want to be able to throw a wrinkle in a game. And so that will give Will the ability to do just that.
We could go on another hour on this. I have so many things I want to say to you right now.
This was like how we were sitting watching Jazz games, right?
It was.
It was so fun this year. I loved it.
So the playoffs, I assume that San Antonio knocks out Minnesota. And I feel like Cleveland and Detroit's a coin flip. Cleveland had 2 guys come off the bench and go a combined 8 of 13 from 3. If Cleveland gets that again, they're going to win the game and they're going to win the series. But you certainly can't count on that. Detroit could easily force a Game 7 and then at home win a Game 7. James Harden hasn't been good in Game 7s. Donovan Mitchell has never been to a conference final. I think we're seeing now with Minnesota and Cleveland, this is why to trade them. 2 guys who are paid like dominant guys on championship teams, but who are both really gifted at one end of the floor, but a liability at the other end of the floor.
And the Jazz were completely landlocked salary-wise, too.
Right.
I mean, they had basically those 2 guys. I read the roster the other day, and it's amazing from 2019, that roster, and moving those guys and acquiring the picks, and what is actually the roster today. It's staggering, because there's talent, so much more talent up and down the roster. And the end of last year, when everybody's like, I hate watching the Jazz, they're just tanking, and all this development was going on. You saw Sensabaugh get 40 in a game. You saw Flip go crazy and start getting like 15, 16 rebounds a game. So those spots are ready to fire too. And you saw it the other night, your guy from Santa Barbara, Mitchell, AJ Mitchell in the Oklahoma City series, he kind of ended that thing for him. And I fully believe Sensabaugh could do just that, in a playoff series, because the last couple of years that dude has worked, been knocked around, failed, and then had some success. And he's tasted it. He knows what it feels like. These guys will be ahead of the game that way, because this is, in effect, a roster that was all together last year. You add this one piece, man, and training camp's going to be really competitive.
David James filling in for Scotty G. The coach, Tim LaComb, is at Tim Dolly Mazda, 10785 South Auto Mall Drive in Sandy. Come on down. They got some deals. They got some stuff cooking.
Yeah, absolutely. Always got stuff cooking. Jake, however, is at his favorite place on earth today. He's at Disney.
Oh, okay.
He's a big Disney guy. Okay. So I'm happy he's there, and we're going to hold down the fort. But the bottom line, DJ, is you need to come check out these Mazdas. Mazda has done such a great job with the look, the feel, the tech that's in these cars, and they have got great deals variety of cars that have 0% interest. Jake has thrown out the free gas for a year. We'll say that while he's gone because I know he'll honor that. But come down and drive these cars. It is just made by J.D. Power the safest new car that you can buy. So there's a lot of reasons price-wise to get a Mazda, a lot of reasons for style, but also a lot of reasons for practicality. So we're here today. Would love to see you. You can come down to Tim Daly Mazda here in Southtown.
All right, DJ filling in for Scotty G. The coach, Tim LaComb, coming up next. Lloyd's really looking forward to this. I don't want to get into it. We'll just let Lloyd have his fun. That's next. Stay with us.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life's sleep.
I drive my bus in a busy city. That's why road safety is so important to me. I know that I must slow down and be extra careful when I make a wide turn. Buses need more room than cars. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're driving, remember to give buses plenty of time and space to finish turning before driving ahead. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did she have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ filling in for Scotty G.
Valhalla, I am coming home.
Tim LaComb. I went to Valhalla High School in Elkhorn,
Did you?
California. I did. We're the Valhalla Norsemen. Yeah.
That's what he said right there.
I know.
That was the first song.
Oh, really?
Just melt your face right out of the gate.
PGA Championship underway. Got a lot of guys sharing the lead at 3 under. Scheffler backed up with some bogeys. Now he's made some birdies, so he's 2 under. He's 1 shot off the lead after having to share the first round lead. There are some quotes from Garrett Hugo, who was late to his tee time, and Lloyd did not like the quotes and is using his power as producer and program director. That we're going to talk about this and about personal responsibility in this segment. First, let's hear the quotes so you can hear them for yourself with tone and everything. Here you go.
I was obviously, so the rule is that if you're 1 second late, you're late. I was obviously there on time but late. That's a 2-shot penalty. You have 5 minutes then until you're DQ'd. So yeah, I guess I could have taken five minutes longer, or just under that. But obviously it's unfortunate. I usually cut it fine. It was cold this morning. I was trying to stay as warm as possible coming from the range. I think it shows a lot of mental strength, the way I just kept fighting, and it wasn't going to affect my swing or my putting. So it is what it is. I mean, my caddy was on the tee box. I had my putt in my hand. Obviously I didn't have my watch on me. I didn't have my phone with me. I'm already in the clouds a little bit as it is, so I don't know what else to do. I always cut it pretty fine. There's a lot of us who do. We don't want to get to the tee box 10 minutes early and be cold. We have to hit it far and straight. It's our job to do that. I don't really think it's my job to be 10 minutes early. Obviously cut it too fine. I thought I still had a few minutes. I didn't have my watch or my phone on me, and my caddy was dropping off my TrackMan, so went to the putting green, hit 1 putt, and then heard my name and ran down. I mean, I think that's always been a big strength of mine is, fighting. I always stay in the fight. Might not always be pretty, but I felt like my swing and putting's been in a good spot this week. I haven't had the best year so far. So I just try to make good swings, stay in control of what I can control. Like, there's nothing I can do about being late. I'm already late.
Well, I mean, there's something you could do earlier. You could walk down the hill earlier, but
Is that not the ultimate Gen Z quote right there? That's a Gen Z golfer right there.
I'm not here to bag on a whole generation.
I'm going to do it. I'll do it for you, DJ.
I'll let you do that. Okay, but so Kyle Whittingham famously is super punctual to the point that his 11 a.m. press conference started at 58 or 59. Well, there's no use complaining about it once you know that when Kyle says 11 a.m., he means 10:58. Won't be there 10:57. You know, and I get the whole don't be there 10 minutes early. I would show up sometimes because I'm coming for radio. I didn't have anywhere else to go or do. Sometimes I'd show up at 10:45 and I'd be first. And they're like, why are you first? I'm like, because I'm coming for radio. I got nothing else to do. Where am I going to go in 15 minutes, right? So you get there first. And other people come in at 10:50 or 10:55. It's like, once you know what the rules are, my mother used to get mad at her mother-in-law, my grandmother, because if there was some family dinner, it would show up at 4. Mom was always doing last things like, why do they always have to be there right at 4? Because they want to hang out with the grandkids. That's it. So they're going to be there at 4. If you want them there at 4:30, tell them 4:30. Grandma is not showing up. Grandpa didn't really have anything to do with it. It was my grandmother. Grandmother was not showing up at 10 after 4 if she got to play with the grandkids at 4. Boom.
Tim, I don't know where
my mom once like, is she right around the corner? Do they just sit there and wait? And I'm like, I don't think so, but I'm not ruling it out. I'm like 8. I'm onto it. I figured it out. Grandma's going to be there on time.
Tim, I don't know where you stand on this, but you know what? It is actually your job to be on time. It's literally your job to be on time.
What
are we talking about?
Let me just flip this, right? Like, so radio show. If I'm not sitting in this chair at 10 o'clock, then I miss the open. And if I miss the open, that's probably not a good thing. So
Give it time.
What I try to do is get here 30 minutes early, see? Because especially places I haven't been, I want to make sure I can get there.
Right.
And I think I've always kind of been that way. I don't know. I have a issue with people that are always late. I think I've been late one time in my life.
I've been late more than one time in a life. But if you find out, and I think this is most people, if you find out someone doesn't respect your time, it means they don't respect you.
Correct.
And then that's offensive. Now, whether you give somebody grace 1 time or 3 times or 5 times, it's not going to be 100 times. So, and then the other thing is, how much grace do you give when you're late? If I'm doing a radio show with a partner and they're not there and I keep talking and then they show up because they're a little late for whatever reason and I don't make a deal out of it, and people notice, they notice, but if they don't, they don't. And people turn on the radio at all times, just keep going. Then maybe I get a little more grace from my partner. And that's how it works.
But I can't imagine Lloyd would let that go on too long. Right,
no,
Lloyd?
No. And if it happened, and PK and I wouldn't either. I mean, if it happened 5 days in a row that you missed the open to the show, that would not be okay.
Yeah, now we have
at the same time, we've all driven in where one of us has a ton of snow on the commute and the other one doesn't. It's the weirdest thing about our weather here. And we've even tried to estimate for it. And sometimes we've shown up at like 6:30 in the morning because we allowed an hour to get in and then we flew right in 15 minutes. You just never know.
That's when you use the hammocks.
PK's not above putting a blanket in the car, driving in order to beat the snow. Because we both grew up in the Sun Belt, we are both freaked out by driving in the snow.
No, absolutely.
And so PK will pull in and he's just like, I just had a blanket in there or a pillow in the car or whatever, and I just slept for another 30 minutes. So I woke up at 4 a.m. and I saw the snow fall, and I'm not doing it. I don't like it. And we both had hair, and I got wrecked one day in the snow on the way in. I didn't even make the show.
But you guys are used to it now because you guys have been here.
We've been doing it for a long time. Yeah.
But Higo, going back to this kid, and he is a kid.
By the way, I'll just say this: take your medicine. You were wrong. You're late.
Yep.
Deal with it. Your job. It is your job to be there 10 minutes early, if that's what it takes.
The key is refereeing. The key is a refereeing, in this case, the rules maker acting as the referee. If the rule is you're 1 second late, you're late, then the penalty has to be applied, and they can't wiggle. And these guys play golf for 4 days, and it's 270 or 80 shots, depending on the tournament, and it's separated by 1 shot. A 2-shot penalty is a big deal. It is a huge deal. So they've got to apply it, and it sounds like they applied it the way they always applied it. So
He was even today, so he's 1 under for the tournament.
So he could be 3 under.
He's already through round 2.
Yeah.
And so he's sitting okay. But man, if he would have just been on time, he'd be 3 under.
Lloyd wants him to lose by 1 or 2 shots. That's what Lloyd wants.
But can I share a really
chaos?
Quick,
I want chaos.
This is really quick, but I want to share this quick story.
Okay.
Because it's akin to this. It's sports related, and it's being late and the repercussions. So I was working at the University of Utah as a manager for Rick Majerus.
Oh, boy.
We were in Fort Collins, Colorado, and we just had won the night before in Moby Gym. Mm-hmm. And and this is well before cell phones. So this is the old call the front desk, get a wake-up call time. Well, for whatever reason, I don't get my wake-up call. And Finally, I get a call, and it is from Tommy Connor at the front desk saying, "Where are you? Everybody's on the bus, and the two managers are asleep in the room." That was bad, very bad. Oof. So we scrambled, got our stuff together. I didn't even put my contacts in. I couldn't see. We run out there, jump on the bus. Everybody's giving us the stink eye. Thank goodness Coach Majerus never went on the bus, so we didn't have to feel his wrath. So we get to the airport. Everything's fine. We get on the plane. We're flying home, and my cohort walks up to me, Mikey Curtis, and he said, "You have Majerus' sweater?" And this is back before the Reebok sweater. He used to wear this. He wore these sweaters. There was an olive-colored sweater, and he would wear like a shirt underneath it, collared shirt. And when he would win in a sweater, he'd like to wear it again the next night, so we'd have to get it dry cleaned. So he comes up, he said, "Hey, have you seen Majerus' sweater?" And I said, "No, I didn't grab it." He's like, "I didn't either." So we got to sit that whole flight. We get to a payphone at the airport, and we land. And I call the hotel. "Hey, is there a sweater in there?" And they went and said, "There's a very big sweater." I said, "Yeah, that's the one. I need you to FedEx that to me today, right now."
Did they?
Yeah, they FedExed that thing to me, DJ, and we got it. I got it to our dry cleaner the day of the game. And after shoot around, I went and picked it up, and I had it hanging in his locker for him. And he had no idea.
No, he never knew. Nice.
But that story is in his book. Gene Wojciechowski wrote a book, and he interviewed, and so that actual story is in there. But that was one of the more frightened I'd ever been for being late.
Jon Wilner, San Jose Mercury News, joins us next. College sports is changing fast. He's trying to keep up with it. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. David James filling in for Scott Garrard. Tim LaComb is Tim Dolly Mazda down in Southtown. And joining us from the San Jose Mercury News, once again, it is Jon Wilner. You read him at KSL.com. John, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You've got a column up at KSL.com right now. Big 12 post-spring projections. You got BYU, Houston, and Texas Tech fighting at the top of the league. You've got the Utes at number 7. This is twice in 2 days. I've heard people posing questions about the Utes that I haven't heard in a long time. Yesterday it was Ron McBride, the former Ute coach, who ran through the whole team, and the one question he really had was defensive line. He thought there were 2 or 3 guys he really liked, but usually they have 6 or 8 guys he really likes. And his point was there's time for guys to develop, but they have to or it's going to be a problem. So he had it more as a question mark. And you're not exactly the same, but you're also not that far off.
No, I mean, I don't know how you can look at Utah and not at least wonder about the change of coaches, right? I mean, you knew what to expect for 20 years. You knew the culture. Mm-hmm. You knew the style. You knew what the off seasons were going to look like. You know, Morgan Scalley was a terrific defensive coordinator. Nobody would argue that point. We don't have any idea what kind of head coach he's going to be. And there are sometimes great coordinators are also great head coaches. Sometimes great coordinators are average head coaches. Every once in a while, they're bad. But we don't know. It's a question mark that has not existed for the program, you know, since Whittingham replaced Meyer. So that to me is where everything starts. We don't know. The most important piece is a little bit unknown.
The same article has BYU now in the number 1 spot in the power rankings for the Big 12, and got great news, obviously, with LJ Martin coming back. What your general thoughts on BYU, and obviously you feel really good about their chances this year.
Yeah, well, I think that was probably a disappointment to BYU fans who are convinced I hate the Cougars. But, you know, I just look at them, and I had them as the Big 12 favorite back in, you know, early February after the season, before the whole thing with Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby, right? That has thrown a giant wrench into the Big 12 outlook. But I look at the Cougars and think, you know, they've got the combination of quarterback and offensive line that you need to win a title, right? We've seen in the transfer portal era that the unit that has become the most difficult to coach and to, play efficiently is the offensive line, right? Because you need tons of cohesiveness up there. Those guys have got to communicate with each other every second. When you're bringing in new players from the portal, it makes it a lot harder to field a cohesive offensive line. BYU's got a lot of guys back from both starters and key rotation players. They got a veteran quarterback. They can run the ball with Martin. I think that losing Jay Hill on defense could be an issue, but I look at them and think they've got the best combination of quarterback and offensive line. So they're my pick as of this point.
With Texas Tech third, you got them out of the conference title game. Obviously, quarterback is a major issue. You've got Houston in the top two. Houston made progress last year. It wasn't exactly a big old cannonball into the deep end of the pool with the splash that gets everyone's attention the way ASU basically went from worst to first 2 years ago. But it was strong progress. Do you have them in there by default, or do you think Houston's coming and people better brace for it?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, Willie Fritz is a terrific coach. He's kind of like a mini Signetti in a way, in that he has won a ton at the lower levels, and now he's getting his chance. To me, the Houston pick and the Texas Tech pick are hand in hand. I don't know exactly when Will Hammond, and he's now Texas Tech's projected starter, right? And he looked good. He was really good against the Utes early last season. We don't know exactly when he is going to be back from his knee injury, right? He tore his ACL. And not only do we not know when he's going to be back, but we don't know when he is going to be playing 100%, right? Mm-hmm. Those could be two different things. And Texas Tech plays Houston in either week 3 or week 4. It's early in the season.
Yep.
And, how Will Hammond is functioning at that point when they play the Cougars, I think could actually have a big impact on where those two teams finish relative to each other. If that game was later in the season and we felt like Hammond would have had plenty of time to get back in the flow, I probably would look at it a little differently, but it's a great time for Houston in terms of when Hammond's going to be back up to speed.
Do you feel like, I saw that Colorado's 15th in the poll, and rightfully so, not a lot going right since the great start by Dion there. Do you feel like this is his last year in Colorado? I kind of get that vibe.
I kind of felt like it was last year, but he decided to come back. And part of that is just because of the health issues, right? I mean, and now you factor in losing with not coaching his kids with the health issues. And you do have to seriously wonder if next season will be his last. I don't have much hope for them. I am hardly convinced that his style of overhauling his roster every year with massive amounts of transfers is working. They won when they had two elite players, Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, best player in the country and one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And then you look at what happened without those guys last year, and it's hard to be too optimistic, especially when you consider Dion has not put together a high-level offensive line. Getting back to offensive line play, they've been terrible up front for 3 years, and they lost their best player, Jordan Seaton, to LSU. So I have serious questions about how competitive they're going to be, and then you wonder if this will be it for Dion for sure.
Jon Wilner joined us from San Jose Mercury News. His writing syndicated. You can read it at KSL.com. I saw a quote in a Sports Business Journal story that made me think of, people like you who cover the national college sports scene for a long time. No, this is the kind of thing you guys write about, and whoever gets this quote, you're all going to run with it, and for good reason. Sports Business Journal is going through the ACC meetings and they said here's the quote: "Could the CSC have set up an enforcement mechanism earlier and better? Sure," said a Power 4 administrator. "But the same schools who claim they want to be governed refused to sign a participation agreement. Don't listen for 1 minute to the people bitching about the CSC. It's the same thing as the NCAA. We blame the NCAA. Well, that's us. The NCAA is us. We are the idiots. And to me, this whole talk about, well, this is unsustainable. Well, I don't see anybody who wants to govern it. Rules didn't work when Tim was an assistant coach, and he's got all kinds of stories from his time at Utah and BYU and all the things that happened on the recruiting trail. I don't see why it's going to change. I think it might not be sustainable for you. I went to UC Santa Barbara. UC Santa Barbara can't sustain anything that Ohio State sustains. We just have to accept that. That's what has to be accepted. That's what isn't sustainable. Ohio State's going to sustain what Ohio State's doing. What am I missing here, if anything? I thought that comment was the truth.
The inmates are running the asylum, and they don't like the rules that they're setting up because they're the inmates, right? I mean, that's basically what it is. The Power Four conferences said, you know what? Let's create this college sports commission, and we're going to all commit to following the rules. And then, of course, they wouldn't commit to following the rules because nobody in college sports likes anything better than to, claim they want to follow rules and then break them. Right? That's what everybody does, whether it's tampering. I mean, you name it. So I don't know when we're going to get a resolution to any of this. The SEC is getting increasingly frustrated. There is certainly a chance that they will say, you know what, the College Sports Commission isn't working. We are going to set up our own rules for our conference. Everybody else set your own rules up. We'll see where that leads us. I do think there is one easy solution, which is collectively bargain with the athletes. But to do that, the athletes need to have a union. And for that to happen, they need to be declared employees. And the university presidents are against having athletes declared employees, which is ridiculous at this point.
At this point,
a collectively bargain, a CBA would solve almost all of the problems. But otherwise, I don't see how there's going to be a resolution to any of it.
John, you're an employee when you have to be at a certain place at a certain time, and you're given a certain amount of compensation for that. Now, Tim was managing and doing video for Rick Majerus 30 years ago, and Rick Majerus did not let players drift in whenever they felt like it. They should have been employees at least 30 years ago, and there's an argument that John Wooden should have had employees 50 or 60 years ago when Sam Gilbert was paying, and Sam Gilbert was ignoring rules and eventually got busted by somebody like you who was 50 years older at the LA Times.
Tim, were you a student when you did that?
Yes, I was.
Did you get paid?
I did.
Well,
I mean, I didn't. The first year I did not. But I got a scholarship the second year.
So you were a student and an employee.
Yes.
And why? I don't know why the quarterback can't do the same thing, right?
Exactly.
All these places have got students who are working part-time and getting a paycheck, but they won't let the athletes do it. It's just preposterous.
I got to go to the Ortega Dining Commons where I pulled 1 million shifts, and I got to be there at a certain time, and they give me a certain amount of money. What's the difference?
Well, in 2019,
there isn't one, and they're looking for every solution except the one that's in front of their face, and none of the other solutions are going to stop the lawsuits. And so we have a situation where everything in college sports is either a reaction to a lawsuit or out of fear of a lawsuit, and that's why we are where we are.
There you go. John, we appreciate the time. Talk a little college sports and a little Big 12 football. Thanks for coming on, and we will keep reading you. We'll keep reading you at KSL.com and in the San Jose Mercury News.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
He's Jon Wilner. All right, DJ and the coach. And we were both there, dude. Like we were employees and we were at school. But schools don't want to do it. So the collective bargaining isn't going to happen. And honestly, at this point, if they make them employees, I wonder if the collective bargaining would work because there are players making a lot of money and there's agents making a lot of money. And they're going to be like baseball. No. We're not collective bargaining that. That's just going to, as soon as you get a collective bargaining, you're going to get a salary cap. It's going to cost me money. No. I'm not doing it. So I wonder if they've missed the boat. It's going to be a lot harder for sure. And I wonder if they could even pull it off.
Well, the one thing I will say is people ask me all the time, how could you leave coaching? Man, that's so crazy. Well, look at all the fun everybody's having right now.
All right, I'm about to hit the road here. It's been a long morning. I'm exhausted about all this radio and talking about sports.
You could do this all day. Who are you kidding?
I was going to say I'll probably go home and call somebody and talk about sports.
No, what you're going to do is you're going to go home and, you're going to dream up a new podcast or something. You have so much going through your head. It's impressive, my man. But thanks for jumping in. I appreciate it, and Scotty does too.
No worries. Happy to help. Good to see you. And actually, I have a tea time this afternoon. I'm actually going to kind of be normal.
Good luck. Who are you playing with?
Just 3 friends.
Nice. Enjoy. I hope you have a wonderful round.
Hit them straight, hopefully.
Well, I mean, that's all
fingers,
relative.
Knock on
Depends
wood,
on where you're aiming.
Yeah, that's true. Anything remotely close to the fairway would be good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
All right. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
The Jazz, the Mammoth, and the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. When it comes to sports in Utah, we got you covered. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Scotty G and the coach. I am the guy they call Yuck on DJ and PK. DJ was hanging out.
Thanks for coming in, man. Scotty's happy too, man. He had to take this day off, so we had to get the right people in here.
Yeah, you had DJ hanging out for a little bit, and he, by the way, he said like, "Hey, I'm probably going to go home and call somebody to talk more about sports." That's exactly what he is going to do.
How many times, like after the show, does he just bend your ear for hours?
Well, okay, it depends on if he's actually in studio or not. If he's out of studio, obviously he's off to do other things. If he's in studio, yes, and it can range anywhere from sports to politics to who knows what. But it's fun. It's always fun. So.
He's always got something to talk about.
Yes, he does.
He is DJ.
Yes, and we love him for it. But good to be
Listen
here.
Listen to the Salt Lake Bees and the El Paso Chihuahuas.
See? By the way, I didn't hear what was his reaction when you guys busted him for that.
We haven't. That was the first time I played it.
Okay.
You know, it's been a little bit of a day. I didn't have a chance to play it for him today.
And he does it.
He did just side eye me a little bit. He just mean mugged me just a little bit.
He's still there.
Yeah, he is. He's actually just sitting there talking to himself right now.
He's monologuing.
See, that's
Listen to the Salt Lake Bees and the El Paso Chihuahuas.
Chihuahuas. I am adding that, Timmy. I think you know what our system looks like for the producers back there.
That's going on one of the.
Yeah, so I have a page literally dedicated to all David James drops, and we're talking. There's like 20 plus of them on the same page, and they are routinely played. That one's being added to that page. Chihuahua.
See, you got to be careful. I've learned that. You got to be careful. You talk every day.
Yes.
You got to be really careful because they clip it all up.
Yeah, the problem is you will not be able to get away from it because you will inevitably say something. You'll have a flub, and it is going to be played in perpetuity forever.
Yes. So. Yeah, that's how that works. Yeah. I get it.
All right, so, yeah, we're here at Tim Dolly Mazda. We'd love for you guys to stop by and say hello if you want. But a local name, Timmy, that you're very familiar with, who is probably the odds-on favorite to go number one overall, is A.J. Dybantsa. And he is being talked about across the country. I was talking with a media member I know in Georgia, of all places, earlier this week, and they're like, hey, well, give me the 401 on AJ, and I was trying to kind of fill him in on what they felt about him. And they actually brought up some of the sound we're going to play here. And essentially, you're on Twitter, obviously.
Oh, I live on Twitter.
Okay, so Sunday night.
I call it X now.
X, okay. Yeah, I'm going to call it Twitter till it goes away.
I'm all over that place.
But there's an account called the Hater Report. And after the announcement that the Washington Wizards won the number one overall pick, ESPN panned immediately to A.J. Dybantsa. And they clipped his face, and he's kind of stone-faced. He's just doing what he's doing. And they said, see, he's upset. He doesn't want to go to Washington. And I think anybody here locally who has watched or interacted with AJ was like, no, that's just kind of who AJ is. But for the nation, the fact that he wasn't like smiling and giddy, they're like, oh yeah, he hates it. I think that has given rise to some of the rumors about why Utah reportedly has called Washington about potentially moving up, and the rumors that Utah wants AJ, they're going to go all out for him. Let's get to this first cut, and this is AJ talking about his reaction to Washington having the number 1 pick, and I think it actually lends some insight into his mindset just in terms of who he is as a player and human being.
I mean, I am used to it. I mean, I've been all over social media since I was about 13. You know, you're trained not to react. A lot of the top players, like Cooper Flagg last year, and you can go down the line, just have no reaction at all. You don't want to seem too happy. You don't want to seem too down. So I just kept a straight face, kept the poker face, but, people just going to, make their own assumptions. So.
Bingo.
Well, the thing I will say, Jake, and you've seen enough of these process, there is no process like this where there's fact-finding without a ton of rumor and innuendo and smokescreen. And, the creators of all that, you never really find out who the sources are.
Yeah.
But it's part of the gamesmanship. And, it's interesting that AJ studied other guys sitting in that position. It tells you how badly he wants to be the number 1 pick and has for a long time. It's all remains to be seen. I do feel like the general consensus is that he will be, but this period, what they did at the combine certainly registers a score. Now they go out and have workouts with individual teams that'll register a score or an impression. They'll go out and then obviously interview with all these guys, and that interview is probably more important than all that other stuff. So these smoke screens and everything, I wouldn't read anything into the Jazz saying, hey, we're trading up. In fact, the people I've talked to, I've heard just the opposite, that they want to play this thing out and they want to see what everybody else is thinking, because you can't, until you know what they're thinking, until you understand something crystallizes or you get great intel with what Washington's going to do, you're doing the same thing. You're analyzing all 4 because they're all right now potential impossible targets.
Well, and it's a poker game. You know this.
100% a poker game.
If you show your cards right now, everybody's going to be like, all right, we know what Utah's doing. If Washington were to do that, like, hey, we know what the Wizards are doing. There's no incentive for any of these teams. I'm talking even for as low as the 4th pick for the Chicago Bulls. None of them should be saying, well, this is our guy.
No, and nobody will, right?
Nor should they, because if you do, all of a sudden everybody else is like, okay, well, we know where that pick's going. Because you keep all your options, you play those cards close to your vest, and you make sure that nobody knows what you're going to do. So therefore, you can keep that, call it element of surprise. You keep that intact, and that helps you in this whole process.
Well, the options, that you use the word option, and that is the biggest thing. The Jazz are, they went from 2019 completely landlocked in a roster with 2 stars, albeit young kind of budding stars. Not budding, they actually had arrived. And they just couldn't build a roster that fit around those guys. So obviously they had to pivot. But that first draft, 0 draft picks. I mean, Ainge sat there with his hands in his pocket.
Well, the quote that apparently, you guys having fun? Like, he essentially told him, like, yeah, see, we never want to have this happen again. We don't want to be sitting here and not have any options, any picks, nothing to do.
No, options are everything in this spot. So with the Jazz having the ability, see, that's the key. They have the ability to do whatever they want here, except for draft whoever Washington drafts. And so do your intel, do your research. But, AJ's certainly a guy who is in those 4, and they've got an interest in, and they're continuing to find more about.
And so I want to play this next clip. And AJ, you mentioned that he studies players, because he does. His dad, Ace, he actually is foregoing the traditional agent. He's actually got a business manager, and his dad, Ace, for lack of a term, is his agent. His dad's kind of just the liaison that deals with everybody that wants to get to AJ. But you talk about studying players. Well, AJ knows a lot about these guys because he's played alongside them, and he knows that the talent in this draft is undeniable.
We're just super versatile as a group, and we're super exciting to watch. Like, I think a lot of us just can make a lot of highlight plays, but also playing the game the right way.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing about this, Tim, is the top four, because you think about, okay, you got AJ, you've got Darren Peterson, you have Caleb Wilson, and you also got Cam Boozer. Those four are the top tier. But there's a lot of people, and we had Kristen Peak on with DJ and Peak. I think she's been on with you guys. I know she's on with Jake and Ben. She talks about the fact that you get to that next tier, they got the Darius Acuffs, you've got the Kingston Flemings. It goes 9, 10 guys deep, and they're going to be, I think what she termed as all-star caliber players in time. Very few drafts have the depth of talent this draft has, and we had David Locke on this morning with DJ and PK, and he talked about this could be a rare back-to-back draft situation where last year's draft had a lot of talent in it. This year's has even more, and this group, and AJ talked about it, they're young, they're exciting, and they're the kind of the next face of the NBA.
They're the next face, and it's really, we're getting a couple classes into this idea of positionless basketball, defensive versatility, being able to switch. Can they switch?
Yeah.
Obviously, shooting is a huge component, and one that, we're talking about AJ, one he's got to convince people that he can do for consistently. I know this, watching him, he makes the big ones.
Yeah.
Like, time after time, when they needed a three, in a big moment, he made them. But I think it's more going to be, and you could speak to this, you watched every game, but it's going to be more the understanding of when those shots should be taken and when not, like the shot selection piece of that.
Well, and Locke mentioned this morning because he said, I'm finally diving in on AJ and watching his film. He said, I think he used the term, there is absolutely zero spacing in the college game to allow AJ to operate and for him to have operated at BYU. And DJ's retort was, well, he still did it even though the spacing wasn't there. I think that's what's going to really unlock AJ. And you know this better than I do. AJ's mechanics on his three-point shot are not broken by any means. They actually are pretty sound, as I understand it. Mechanically, it looks good. I think he's going to do what Jaeger Dielman did. Remember, Jaeger came out last year, and people were like, guy can't shoot the three. Why are the Nets drafting this dude? And then he ends up making, I think, a shade over 38% from three as a rookie. Now, season cut short due to plantar fasciitis, but he went from
that's
being
the sample size, though.
Yeah,
right?
He had 50 some odd games.
Correct.
And he proved, okay, the spacing, the moments I need to take those shots, he started knocking them down. I think you're going to see the exact same thing from AJ next year. He just needs to get into the NBA to show that.
No, I agree. But that's one of the things. You're making a board, and you're putting all the major, massive, incredible things, and most of these guys have a list of mile long in that regard. So it always is unfortunate that we get to this point and we have the four best players coming into the NBA, and we're going to try to figure out what they can't do.
Correct.
Yeah. And so there is a bit of that, and it's why having gone through the process as much as Ainge, Zanuck have gone through it, you got to feel really good, because the key in this whole year, you didn't want to get 7-8. You don't want to be on the back end of this. The fact that they got 2, I mean, ecstatic. But then this process is real.
Yep.
And you have to understand, of the weaknesses these guys have, who can correct them? Who can actually, through development, fix the things that they're struggling with. And like Ace Bailey, his big knock was shot selection.
Yeah.
Right? But, you get into the season, and Ace was unbelievable. Like, that dude, I can't think of many bad shots the kid took all year long.
Yeah.
So, obviously, some of the things that were said about his game weren't completely accurate, and if they were fixed through development.
Well, and I think that kind of shows you the difference between the college game and the NBA game is NBA, the floor is so much more spaced, and guys who, Ace Bailey, much like AJ, everybody packed around him in terms of the spacing in the college game and didn't allow him to operate. All of a sudden he gets in the NBA and he's like, hold on, I have to beat one guy and I can be on the rim? I can do that. And all of a sudden, he becomes he's untradeable in my mind right now for the Jazz.
Oh, no. That was one of the more stupid things I've heard all week.
I know. But I'm just – so – that's, I think, what a guy like AJ is going to find, that spacing. And so I want to get to this final clip before we hit the break here. And this is, I think, where Kevin Young is going to – his coaching of AJ is actually going to come, I think, full circle once he's actually in the NBA, even though Kevin Young won't be coaching him day to day. So here's what he had to say about Kevin Young and how he coached him at BYU.
Just KY coming from the NBA, I think that he brought me a lot of knowledge. So watching a lot of film of KD and D-Book and, giving even knowledge to Rob about CP3 and when he coached him, Joel Embiid film, like it goes on and on and on. And he kind of put us in like an NBA offense, NBA defense, scoring early in the shot clock, scoring super fast, allowing me to shoot my middies and not really limiting my game, and I can just play my pro-style game.
That right there, Tim. Kevin tried to implement as much of an NBA offense as he could, and he emphasizes spacing. Now, the college game, just with the lack of athletes and I think the true
shooters.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You don't really get it. But AJ is going to step into the NBA, and he also mentioned a guy like Rob Wright. If Rob Wright makes the NBA someday, they're going to be ahead of the curve because Kevin's terminology, the way he goes about explaining things to these guys, it's not going to be a foreign concept to a guy like AJ. And whoever gets him, whether it's the Jazz, Washington, etc., he'll step in. These coaches are going to be like, man, this kid's picking it up. It's because Kevin has already laid the groundwork for that.
Yeah, and BYU was ahead of the curve on all that.
Yeah.
As this process evolved, BYU quickly under Kevin Young jumped to the pro vote.
Yeah.
And, as I've said in the press conference, a lot of people, you were at the press conference, when you heard that he was going to bring top-level NBA talent to Provo, what did you do?
I think all of us were like,
right.
Okay.
I mean, I looked around, and I mean, there were a couple people's mouth fell open. Like, how is he going to do that? Well, he did it through connections, and he did it through know-how. Having the ability to coach Book, CP, 3, Embiid, all those guys, it gives you this credibility. And some guys are just hangers-on. This guy's he's a ball coach, and I think all the things he taught them about the NBA game are one thing. But where he really made AJ a better player is he got rid of some of the nonsense in AJ's game. He got him to not worry about the officials as much. He got him to not instigate and mess with the other players as much. He got his body language better out there.
Correct.
And that's a big step because sometimes you get to the NBA, and for Keontae it took a couple of years to rid himself of all that stuff. This is a team game. There are individuals playing it, and the way you get to this incredible elite league is you're a great player.
Yeah.
But the guys who then make it the rest of the way, they morph into how do I fit a team? And, that's a big part of the process.
And that's, I think, where AJ is going to thrive is you can see it just in his game. He will adapt as the game is played to whatever the style is going to be. And there were times I think of when BYU played up at Utah, so their first Big 12 matchup in the rivalry, there was a play where Utah sent a triple team at AJ, and trust me, it was all game long. They were hounding him because the game plan, I think, from Alex and the Utah coaching was like, get the ball out of his hands. Well,
that's a smart way to go with that team too, because there's you want other people handling it.
Correct. But the one thing that AJ did is I think he realized early on, okay, they're just sending everybody at me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step through these double and triple teams. I'm not going to try and force a shot. I'm going to find where that open man is at and get the ball to him and let him do his thing. That game showed me, okay, yeah, this kid can adapt his game to whatever it needs to be. And that's why he is prized so highly, because he's 6'10" in shoes. He's 200+ pounds. What was the max 42 inches? He's a freak athlete, and yes, he is capable of taking over a game, but he doesn't have to do it every single time.
Are you so glad you don't have to make this pick for the Jazz? Are you glad they're going to do it?
I actually think that the Jazz got to be happy that Washington has the pressure on them of picking it, and it actually takes some of the pressure off the Jazz, because whatever Washington decides to do, then you kind of go and the Angels, Austin and Danny, and I'm sure Ryan Smith will have some insight at being the owner. They will have their board. And if the number one option, whether it's AJ, whether it's Darren, whoever it is, whatever Washington does, you just go to the next one.
Yeah, exactly. You get your work done. But that's why this time's so important.
Yes.
You get your work done. You find out who these guys are.
Yeah.
You know what they can do well. You find out the things they're weak in and say, hey, we can get that X amount better over a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And then you make the best bet you can on the guy. And so that's what this is for. I'm thrilled about it. And what we're going to try to do on this show is, every single day, throw some things out there, some background, some interviews we've interviewed radio guys, right? Try to just get the ins and outs of these guys. This is a big thing for the franchise. This is huge for the franchise.
Okay, I'll leave one last thing with you. So I was talking to, I don't remember who I was talking to about this. They said this time of year, NBA teams loathe a phone call from Danny Ainge, because either it's him saying, hey, I've got such and such a proposal for you, And in the back of your mind, and this is the way I kind of interpreted the comment, is that they're like, oh, crap, what's Danny trying to pull here? Because the Trader Danny nickname, it's there for a reason. Because he traded down. Remember, they had the number 1 pick in Boston. They trade down, and people's like, what is he doing? And he's like, I'm going to get assets, and I'm going to, by the way, go get Jason Tatum, who's the best player in this draft class and is born out to be that. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, he fleeced us again. And that's going to be the interesting part, is how many teams are willing to answer the phones.
Well, but the cool part now is it's Austin.
Yeah, well, sure. And Austin.
So he's a little more, I don't know. I find them both trustworthy, but, maybe he doesn't have the baggage.
Well, but it's just, it's the perception thing, because teams are like, oh, what's Danny trying to pull now? Because from their vantage point, you're looking at saying, okay, what are the Angels doing here? What game are they up to? Because it kind of goes back to what Danny's rep is, and that is that he has been very good at working the draft board, finding guys. As I said, he could have taken Markelle Fultz. He said, that ain't the guy. Orlando, you can have him. We're going to drop down, and we're going to take Jason Tatum, and who's been the best player out of that draft class.
Well, and I would dare say that one of the greatest drafts they had in Boston was getting Peyton Pritchard where they got him.
Bingo, yeah.
He was going to go to the second round. They traded up, got him, just took him so nobody else could get him. And look what he's done for him.
Yeah, and Danny's done that time and time again. I think we can all point to guys like Kyle Filipowski, grabbing him in the second round. It's been a master stroke, and it goes to what the Angels have done for the Utah Jazz. All right, coming up next. Now, you guys already talked about Garrett Higo, right?
We sure did.
Okay, so coming up next.
You were on time, by the way. He said you were going to walk in. You would have been legal and on time. You would not have got a 2-stroke penalty.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Coming up next, though, I do want to talk about what's going on with the NHL. NHL playoffs are rolling on here. Stanley Cup playoffs. Did Vegas set up what could be an interesting Western Conference Finals? And I'll explain exactly what I mean by that coming up next right here. Scotty G and the coach rolling on. Jake Hatch sitting in for Scotty. More in a moment right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Utah is right here. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Scotty G and the coach. I'm Yak, a.k.a. Jake Hatch, sitting in for Scotty. And by the way, I'm going to throw this up. Just everybody, can you hop on social media and let our guy know happy birthday? Timmy, happy birthday,
Thanks,
sir.
man. We'd stopped celebrating them years ago.
No, we're celebrating it all day today.
The way this got out was I just started, so my work day was right in Lloyd's Grill. That's how you found out, right, Lloyd?
Well, I kind of might have already known. Damn. But yeah, it does show up there.
Okay. So if you are on social media, T. LaComb on X, a.k.a. Twitter, let him know. Hit up our guy. Celebrate his birthday.
Tell me what you wish for me this year.
Ooh, there you go. That'd be fun.
And be nice. I mean, somebody could take a shot.
It's his birthday. Be nice. Yes, that is obviously.
Just today. You can go after me tomorrow.
There you go. All right, Timmy, did you get a chance to watch any of the NHL playoffs last night?
I did. The goal heard around the world.
Time of Mitch Marner.
Between the legs.
That was a beauty.
I thought that was a basketball move.
Kind of was, though. Think about it.
Those guys, I'll tell you what, that's the thing that stood out to me in the Mammoth this year was how athletic these dudes are. They're big and tough, but they're athletic.
Lloyd, you said you have the highlight, correct? Go ahead and play it.
Now a chance at the other end. A stop. Oh, what a finish! Mitch Marner backs his way to the crease and finishes at the right post. What a goal for Mitch Marner. 1-0 Knights, a minute into Game 6.
Now, Timmy, you mentioned that you hear him say, what a stop, because he thought that the goalie stopped him from scoring. But all Marner does is literally he stops on a dime and kind of backs himself away out of the crease, just give him enough time to put it between his legs and score it. Man, what a play.
Yeah, crazy dexterity and awareness of where he was on the ice. But that was very disrespectful. He went backwards, facing into the goalie's crease, into his home, and then was able to pull off that goal. That's very disrespectful.
It set the tone, and the rest of the game went the way of the Knights, and they have now advanced to the Western Conference Final. So it sets them up against the Colorado Avalanche for the right to play for the Stanley Cup. And you think about it, it's like Utah had Vegas on the ropes.
Don't say it. I get so mad.
But they did. They had
52 seconds, dog. I was on the edge of my seat.
All of us were.
Come on, Gav, just clear that thing.
But you think about it. Had they held on in that circumstance, how different do things look right now? I know it's one moment, and PK all the time. Trust me, if PK's listening, he's going to text me right away and be like, dude, you know my philosophy on this. I'm like, yeah, ifs and buts, I get it.
I will say, watching it last night, and a couple goals reminded me.
Yeah.
They took me back because Anaheim turned it over in their zone.
Yeah.
And they led right to goals. Just like it, that's how Vegas beats you. So I actually don't take from it, it should have been us. I take from it more because I think everybody's going to know their fate in the Western Conference Final. I mean, come on. That team's a steamroller.
I tweeted it yesterday. Can we kind of just fast forward to the Stanley Cup final? Because I'm telling you, Carolina looks like a buzzsaw in the East. And Colorado's Carolina's 8-0 in the playoffs.
Right.
They've swept the first two series.
I mean, they were 3 down 3-0.
Yeah, exactly.
And they come back. And I told the impressive thing about that, Scotty. They ended the series. They could have just said, all right, they got us tonight.
Yeah, it's mellowed
Let's
in.
not exert any energy. But they went hellfire on them.
Yeah, and Colorado's 8-1. I feel like we're on a collision course to see Carolina and Colorado playing for the Cup. But what I saw last night from Vegas makes me in some ways reconsider that it may be a little longer series than I anticipated it being. Because I was thinking gentlemen sweep 5 games. I think it may go 6 or 7 now. Because Vegas has got championship DNA. Like there's no denying.
Well, and they're so physical.
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing that stood out to me, particularly game 1.
Yeah.
It was like they were hitting guys left, right, and center. Right. It was just like it was mayhem out there. But the bottom line is the Mammoth to me did what they had to do this year.
Yeah.
They competed with that team to the point where they had them on the ropes. If they knock them down that hole of 3-1,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, 10% of teams come back from that. Mm-hmm. So the Mammoth had them there, and so I think that's the thing they got to focus on. I'm ecstatic for all the new hockey stuff this offseason, free agency, and I mean, we got a whole nother thing to follow. But I am like most of the people I talked to that had nothing really. They knew hockey, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Follow it. Like, they're all in. In this community, I've got so many friends that are like, have you been to holy cow, that had me in game 1, So it definitely is relatable.
Yeah.
And the front office, I've gotten the opportunity to meet them in person and then obviously interview them on the radio. What great dudes the Armstrongs are. Mm-hmm. And then Ryan and Ashley have the ability to, open the coffers. They build them that incredible facility. There's going to be a cup here, dude. There will be a cup in this town.
I'm looking forward to it. I want to see that parade going right down South Temple, Main Street of Salt Lake City, and I'm telling you, people are going to show up for that. It's going to be crazy when it happens.
I want to reserve a spot on the Zamoth going downstate.
I think we all do. Let's be real.
No. I know we all do, but
ticket.
I know.
Exactly. You got to pay. That's a major contribution to the Zamoth fund.
Yeah, I think it shows. The fact that what Vegas did to Anaheim makes you think, okay, Utah's not far off. The Mammoth are not far off.
No. And I felt like the whole series.
Yeah.
I mean, I really did expect Vegas to big boy us, especially after watching the first game. But it was the fight, the resilience, even after tough decisions. Like, they could have hung their head in situations. They kept fighting.
Yeah.
And I love Bear. I know they got the right guy leading them.
Yeah, Bear's fun, and he's been so good about coming on the station every week. Like, I can tell people as a producer how rare that is to have people that show up consistently. They say a lot of people will agree to do stuff like this. I always think of Joe Ingles. he was the gold standard for that. We did 8 years of him weekly with DJ and PK, and I think I can count on one hand the number of times he missed in 8 seasons.
That says a lot, and that's why Joe's loved everywhere he goes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's the same thing with Bear. Like he does his thing, and Bill Armstrong did it with this show for all season long. It's really cool to have people like that show up and are willing to kind of lay out how everything's going. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm very interested to see how the Western Conference Finals go. We do have still one second-round matchup. We have a Game 6 Sunday, Montreal and Buffalo, and the Canadians could punch their ticket to be the sacrificial lamb for the Carolina Hurricanes if they can pull it off on Sunday.
Yeah, and they've got, my understanding, the best following in terms of fan base in the Delta Center's pushing them, obviously, but that's a hard place to play. I do believe it comes down to Colorado and Carolina, and that's going to be fun. That's going to be two really fun styles. Neither team afraid to get up and down. Some high scores, a lot of hits. That would be a great series, but we'll see if we get there.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, more in a moment right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's high noon up and down the Wasatch Front, and Scotty and the coach are just getting started.
And joining us from the San Jose Mercury News, once again, it is Jon Wilner.
I don't know how you can look at Utah and not at least wonder about the change of coaches. You knew what to expect for 20 years. You knew the culture, you knew the style, you knew what the off-seasons were going to look like. Morgan Scally was a terrific defensive coordinator. Sometimes great coordinators are average head coaches. It's a question mark that has not existed for the program since Whittingham replaced Meyer. So that, to me, is where everything starts.
This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Scotty G and the coach here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Jake Hatch sitting in for Scotty. And Timmy, when I was finishing up DJ and PK, I was obviously back in the studio. And did they already bring up what the theme was today, by the way, music-wise for you? No. I was told it was called, they were going with what they're calling Dad Rock today.
Well, I feel like because we're doing a golf segment,
I know we got
that they came in with a little more, something soft so it wouldn't disturb the golfers.
Maybe so. Well, let's get a check in on the PGA Championship with Bob Casper.
The PGA Championship update is presented by Copper Rock, where the pros play, on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Joined by Bob Casper from Real Golf Radio. Bob, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic. Now, PGA Championship, conditions have been a little cooler. I've seen some guys out there with sweatshirts. I saw Colin Morikawa was wearing like one of those neck gaiters. But you were mentioning this earlier to DJ and PK. The weather's supposed to clear up and warm up over the weekend. How much different is the course going to play yesterday and today versus what it'll be on the weekend, in your opinion?
Well, the weekend, of course, is because the weather's going to be about 80 in 80s with sun. It's going to be difficult because the golf course is going to dry out. The golf course is as difficult as it is right now, especially with the wind. But with the temperatures going up, the golf course will dry out even more in the fairways and on the greens, and it's going to make it extremely difficult.
Scotty Scheffler is a member of team coach this week, and he had a great day yesterday. A couple bugaboos today, but looks like he's about to wrap up his round. What did you see from Scotty today?
Well, he got out in the worst of it today. A lot of those guys that played early in the morning, they had the cool weather, but then they also had about 12 to 14, 15 mile an hour winds, which made it really, really tough. So Scotty bogeyed like 3 out of his first 4 holes. And then he righted the ship and made some birdies to get back to 1 under par, and then made a bogey. But he's on the 9th hole right now and has a really good chance to get in the clubhouse at 2 under.
All right, so Bob, looking at the leaderboard, is it Aldrich Potgieter? Is that how you say his last name? Is that correct?
Yep, Potgieter. Yep, yeah. He's from South Africa.
Yeah, South African. He's at 4 under, but then you've got, 6 guys. It looks like 7 guys at 3 under. Yep. It's a stacked leaderboard right now, and there's really been no separation so far.
No, just because there's so many guys that have to make pars and par is such a great score. It's easy to make bogeys. I saw Matthew Fitzpatrick this morning 4-putt the 14th hole, which is a par 3, to make a double bogey. And so it's just really, really tough. But, the score of the day so far is Chris Gotterup. He shot 65 in the morning half of the round. Said he got very, very fortunate. Birdied the last 3 holes today this afternoon in the calmer weather, and got to 3 under par. And he began the day at 2 over. So, yeah, it's just, the guys in the afternoon have it a little bit better because the winds are not as much. And it's going to be interesting to see what the cut gets to, and also who's leading after the first round or the second round.
When you talk about the course drying out, I've been watching the greens. They're massive and so much up and down in them as well. And like you said, you can get to the green and 3 or 4 putt easily, which I've seen guys do. With it drying out, that'll just make things that much more difficult, correct?
Yeah. The PGA of America has really worked on keeping this golf course from getting away from them as far as these guys lighten it up and shooting way under par. And the way they've done that, and the way they will do that this week, is with the greens and where they put the pins placements, and what happens with if the greens get crispy and firm and hard, all those things. That's the protection of this golf course. Earlier in the week, they were saying, 15 to 20 under par is going to win the golf tournament. Well, I don't think it's going to get that low. It's maybe going to get to 10. And the way they're going to do that is by the greens, and that's the defense of this golf course.
Yeah, so, Bob, this golf course, it has hosted a PGA before. It's had some other tour events on it, but it's not a frequent visit for a lot of these players. Is that playing anything into this, in your opinion?
Yeah, it's a course that not a lot of guys have played, especially in the last 8 years. Yeah. 2018 was the last time it was played here, and it was the BMW Championship on the PGA Tour, which Keegan Bradley won. Then prior to that, it was 2010, and Justin Rose won an event. That was a PGA Tour event there. But then, the last time a major championship has been played was the PGA Championship in 1962 when Gary Player won. So it's been 64 years before since they played a major championship here. And it's just, there's not a lot of familiarity with it. These guys, they play a lot of the same golf courses year after year after year, and they know which golf courses are best for them. When you get in a major, that's a unique one that hasn't had a major on it for a long, long time. It's tough for these guys.
I love some of the names hovering around the top. Kind of sets up for an exciting weekend. A guy like Jason Day's -3.
Yep.
Cam Young, who's just been hot as a Pistols, put himself in a great spot at -2.
He eagled the last hole.
He eagled the last hole?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yep.
And then and another member of team coach, Justin Thomas. So I picked pretty good this week, man.
Yeah, two of your 3 are former PGA Championship winners.
I
Justin
did
Thomas
my research, Bob.
Twice.
Come on, man. I'm an old coach, dog. I'm going to do my research.
You're the coach. Exactly. And then, like you said, Cameron Young has played some phenomenal golf this year, and this golf course sets up really, really well for him.
But I guess Xander and Scotty are looming too. So I'm excited to sit and watch golf this weekend, Jake.
It's going to be fun because the cream rises to the top the further you go. So it's going to be good.
Bob, there's a lot of talk out there about the future look of what the PGA Tour schedule looks like. There has been some who have called for the PGA Championship to go back to being played in August as the final of the majors. Where do you stand on that?
Well, the PGA Tour is going to condense a little bit. There's going to be more signature events, but the fields in those signature events are going to go from 80 to 120. It's going to give guys more opportunities to play, which is great. Now, as far as moving the PGA championship back to August, there's players that are for it and players that don't really care. Rory McIlroy was saying earlier in the week that he would have liked it to been in August this year or the past 2 years because it gives him a little bit more time between the year's first major and the U.S. Open. Right as it sits right now, you've got the Players Championship in March, the Masters in April, the PGA in May, then the U.S. Open in July or June, excuse me, and then the Open Championship in July. So you've got these 5 months with a big major tournament in between, and then the PGA Tour starts stacking signature events in there too, and they want everybody to play, and these guys don't want to play that much. They want to be able to rest and breathe, and Scotty Scheffler played 2 of those 3 signature events, then took a week off last week. Rory McIlroy played last week, but didn't play the ones prior. But here you are. You get to a major championship, and everybody's had adequate rest and everything. Scotty Scheffler just made birdie at number 9 to get back to 2 under par and shoot even par. I was saying, or shoot 1 over par, excuse me. But I was saying if he could get back to even after that bad start for the day, then that would be pretty good. Well, he shot 1 over par, but he's at -2 now.
Is it Garrett Higgo's job to get to the tee box 10 minutes early?
100%.
I mean, give me some thoughts on that. This has got to be because Lloyd got really irritated by this, and I would assume you probably did too. Like, be there on time, right, Garrett?
You got to be on time. You got to be on time, and 1 second late is not on time. PGA Tour is strict with their. If you're late, it's a 2-shot penalty. I'm sorry. He's on the putting green when his time's supposed to start. He's not supposed to be on the putting green. He's supposed to be on the first tee, and most guys get to the first tee 5 minutes before. That way they can get their pin sheets, they can get their tees, everything that they need to get themselves ready. And he's standing over on the putting green putting. So his caddy was on the tee. His caddy was yelling for him to hurry up and get over there.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't make it. He was a minute late, and he got a 2-shot penalty.
I have a couple of friends that I'm going to start instituting this. It's a great idea because I have a couple of buddies, like it's that deal where you're calling your name in like a minute and they're not there yet.
They're pulling their shoes on and running over to the tee box.
And then you see like smoke out on the main road, and you're like, oh, here they come. So I'm gonna implement that in the LaComb scrambles.
Yeah, 2-shot penalty, baby.
Yep. Thank you, Bob. You pay off every time you come on, dude.
Bob, before we let you go, is there a player that we already talked about? There's a lot of big names kind of hovering around the top of the scoreboard. Is there 1 or 2 guys that you've got a particular eye on, thinking, hey, this guy, watch out for?
Well, I think after today's round, I think you got to look at Chris Gotterup. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that he played in the Scottish Open last year, played in the final round with Rory McIlroy, and beat him. Then he went to the Open Championship the next week and finished 4th. And here we are. He's won twice this year already. He won it in Hawaii, and he also won in Phoenix. And now here he is in a major championship. He's at 3 under par after 2 rounds, and he's got the weekend to play. He bombs it off the tee, he can carry all the bunkers and everything. And so I just with his playing ability, doesn't seem like he's afraid to get in the mix of everything. I think he's a guy that you have to look at. But then again, you got to look at Scotty. This is a perfect golf course for him. And there's a couple of other guys that are up there in the mix as well. Jason Day, as you said, Justin Thomas. Those guys have all been in the mix and have all won major championships. So I think this is going to be one where the elite guys, the guys that have won majors before, are going to be in the mix and have a chance to win.
Bob, are we going to find you wearing some of those Malbon fits that we see Jason Day wearing one of these days?
Oh man, that Malbon stuff's too rough for me.
No,
it's
dude,
too
you don't
loose
do
and
that
baggy.
stuff.
No.
Hey,
Not me.
Bob is every man, right, Bob? It's like the rest of us. Every man.
I got to give Malbon credit. They have made a name for themselves, and they
have.
They stand out. There's no doubt about that.
Yep, no doubt.
Bob, thank you for taking the time. We obviously will be catching up with you once things wrap up, coming up early next week on Monday. But, yeah,
Okay.
It should be a really, really fun weekend out there in Pennsylvania.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. You take care, guys.
Hey, when you get back, let's go hit a bucket.
Okay.
All right.
We can do
I
it.
need a lesson. Thanks,
Okay.
Bob.
There you go.
Take care.
Bob Casper, big thank you to him for taking the time. He and Brian have been absolutely awesome all season long. And they just they continue to kill it. The thing I love about what is going on with the tournament is that they, on Saturday mornings, do you listen to Real Golf Radio?
You're darn right I do, and I listen to the Saturday show.
The caddy who joins them is my favorite part of that entire show because the insight, you don't find that anywhere
No, you
else.
don't. You got to get somebody who can get it through a door you can.
Correct, yeah. So big thank you to Bob and Brian. Of course, all of their coverage brought to you by Mountain America Credit Union, Mountainland Supply, Black Desert Resort, Hoops Vision, and You Went to Golf. All right, coming up next, got a little surprise for you. Bowler's supposed to stop by the way. That's not a surprise.
Oh, really?
We got another surprise coming up next.
Oh, no.
And that involves our boy Timmy. And we'll get to that next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Scotty G and the Coach here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. That is Tim LaComb, the Coach. I am Jake Hatch, sitting in for Scotty. I do want to remind you guys, we are live today on location at the Southtown Auto Mall. We're at Tim Dahle Mazda, 10785 South Auto Mall Drive. We'd love for you guys to stop on by. Their Memorial Day sale starts this weekend. They're getting an early jump on it, Timmy. They've got incredible deals, and the interesting part is up to $7,000 off a plug-in hybrid. And if you know anything about Mazdas, they've got some of the top-end models when it comes to, they call them PHEVs.
Yeah, and last time I was here, Jake talked about how Mazda's approach has been to put a ton of money into R&D.
Yes.
And so if you look inside these vehicles, you come and see the tech that's in them, the finishes on these cars, the trims, everything looks so good. So it's worth your while to come on down to Tim Dahle Mazda and see us today. Whoa.
All right, here we go. So
and look who's here to bring
Jen Tanner, bring this over here. Got Bowler here as well.
Bowler, did you cook that? I mean, how in the world? Give
let's
him
get
a headset.
Bowler, you toss this one on. We're gonna have some fun here.
I had no idea you were culinary. I mean, I knew you could cook out there on the mic, but not like this.
In my spare time,
we got Bowler up, guys.
In my spare time, of course, I can look at the icing I did. I mean, it's just, the confetti little. I mean,
you went overboard.
I did myself.
Yeah,
I guess I'll blow
we are
those up.
Hey, hold on. We got to do the traditional here. So
here we go.
Timmy, this is your expertise, but we're gonna start going. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
To you.
Happy birthday, dear Timmy.
To you.
Oh.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, many
I
more.
have to say, that is as good a song as I've had sung to me by strangers in my life.
Yeah. No, look at this group.
You guys are
it's
awesome.
incredible.
Hey, and the staff down here, that's another reason to come. The staff here is second to none. They'll take care of you. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, fantastic.
All right,
Okay,
Timmy, will you do the honors for us?
I've got a quicker song. This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. Hey,
That's
I like
much
this.
better.
that's done.
I like this, Bowler.
There have been more wax on these things.
All right, let's do this, Timmy. Oh, we got it.
Yeah.
There we go. Well done.
Wow. Well done on the last two.
Only because I've been non-smoker all these years.
Yeah,
I just
uh-huh.
had great
That
lung
lung
power.
capacity is elite.
I can imagine.
Well, Bowler, thanks for coming on down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for baking the cake. Obviously.
Yeah, I brought it down early, and they were able to continue to ice it.
Make sure they all get some of that.
Yeah. Great. And then the candles, I forgot the candles. I wasn't sure the age.
Well, it's up there, buddy, and we're not going to even talk about it. But let's talk about you for a minute. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for the invite.
A little surgery this off season. You're doing good from that?
Doing well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock your shoulder around.
I was going to say, it was your shoulder, right?
Yeah.
Old
How
football
was the
stuff.
therapy, Bowler?
Thanks. Hey, how you doing, pal?
Did you do wall crawls?
Did you do the old wall crawls?
I haven't gotten to that level yet, but I did curls today.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Yeah, so I just got out of rehab and decided to come over and hang out and celebrate your birthday.
Dude, there's so much to talk about, too. How we got to talk about where were you when this all came down, the Jazz got the number 2 pick?
In my office.
And just were you like, oh.
It was the same spot of a year ago when Ace, was the 5. And, I thought, wow, 17 wins, and that's it. And then Dallas at 1.8% gets the number 1 and Cooper. But you know what? If you want to stay positive, all things for a reason, an ace is an ace.
He's a gem, dude.
I think he's going to turn out to be just a terrific addition. It's youth on parade with a few mixed veterans that are proven, and we go from there. And then, of course, you wait to see what the number 2 the number 2 pick brings.
Yeah, we're going to get into all that because I want to get your thoughts. So there's 4 guys being talked about, and we've all looked into them a little bit. A lot more to do, and I think the teams have a lot more investigation to do as well.
I the only thing I was disappointed about, Bowler, there's not a video of you screeching and hooting and hollering like we saw with David Locke.
Oh, was he?
Did you see this video?
Bowler's just a little less out
know.
there. You know?
I know.
You know what? When I sit in front of him for 7 months on a plane and in the booth alongside whatever arena we're in.
I'm sure he's
it's
quiet.
a heavy dose of D-Lock.
Pretty quiet on the plane.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Not like
as he's tapping your shoulders.
When he discovers
did you know what I found out? Gosh, Bowler, look at this number. And then he and Booner, they sit back and look at game film, and we kind of chat about that. But sometimes you just have to go, ugh.
What does Thurl do? Just give him the
Thurl puts on headphones and watches his son play hoop.
There you go.
Okay.
Overseas or watches film in that regard too.
That's awesome.
Or I just sit and work. I'd say the plane is really a second office.
Yeah.
As is a hotel room, because you're just on a back-to-back, man. You're just prepping on the plane the best you can.
When it comes to the NBA lifestyle and broadcasters, I don't think people realize this. You guys are with the team as much as anybody because you're on the plane with them. You're in the hotels with them. I've talked to David about this because I interned for him all those years ago. It is nonstop when you guys are on the road.
It's crazy world. I'm not going to lie. It's fun, but it's crazy, and you have to pace yourself, honestly.
Yeah.
Or it can drive you crazy. The walls is, it's true. Big T had mentioned this when he played. I remember him saying the walls can kind of come in on you a little bit. Hotel rooms, you stay in nice places, but it's still a hotel room, and it's just you just got to walk away sometimes. And we try to do. Experiment with different restaurants.
Sure.
That's kind of a hobby, on the road just to see. Sometimes we find just a hole in the wall like Matt's in Minneapolis that serves the Juicy Lucy hamburger.
Okay.
It's a cinder block. You got Gus's Fried Chicken in Memphis. If you go there, it's a must stop.
You got to go get the cheesesteaks in Philly, right?
Yeah. It's
Pat's.
It's the fancy stuff, okay, once in a while, but you're looking for the hometown. Like, what's the best?
What makes it tick here?
Yeah. What is the groove, and why is there a line outside this really small cinder block, restaurant? Because it's good. It's good.
Along those lines, you have a unique vantage point, and we've talked to the radio guys from North Carolina this week and Kansas. We talked to BYU's guy because we're going to try to look at this thing from all angles on all these guys, right? Yeah, and that's what the teams are going to do. And I will imagine there'll be all these guys have been given glowing reports, but behind closed doors and, when you really ask questions, you get answers. I'm just curious the difference in terms of how it felt chemistry cohesion-wise last year and this year. And, in terms of – because they made some pretty measured acquisitions for veterans that they really wanted here, Kevin Love being one.
Right.
Nurk being one.
Yes.
But just how you felt like the difference, and not that one was bad or good, but just the difference in the cohesion from your vantage point.
Well, the league is getting younger with draft picks, 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds. One and out is basically what it is. And so the veterans, I think, like K-Love, who has been open about his angst and anxiety, which I praise him for.
Me too.
I think it's all of us have stories or know people or have gone through similar situations, but for an NBA player with his success to actually step back and say, hey, look, let's talk. I think it speaks volumes for who he is. And as the younger players come in, that transition is even more difficult. And from what I see from, I always say, my chair. And I think it just helps the transition. And as we go into this draft, I think it's important, too, guys, that you see the Jazz take time to interview the individual and get to know them and what makes them tick. And the Jazz, I think, have been really strong in that category of, helping players make the transition. I think Keontae, to his credit, decided to take it a little further and just decided to, shed some of what was Keontae and maybe some, anger that went with it. And he comes back and wants to be the best of the best. And sometimes you have to take a layer off to grow. And I think Key, to his credit, man, congrats. I think he's a happier, more focused, NBA player. It's not an easy world to live in. And, I watch him. And you know what? You're making $8-10 million and you're 19 and you have to be careful. And also, who do you surround yourself with? I think the Jazz do a good job at trying to help the player make that transition.
Yeah, to me, just from the end of the year, particularly seeing guys who were not playing, they were there. They had, they were a part of the team, but they weren't playing.
They did a great job.
They got a technical foul one night.
Yeah.
So over the course of a rebuild, they did a great job at accomplishing a lot of development milestones. They obviously changed the roster dramatically with the Jaren Jackson trade, and I would say with the development of their guys. I mean, they're a different team with Keontae George of this year and Keontae George of the years prior.
Huge leap. And you're right about the players the Jazz were open in this last half of the season. We knew what was happening. We've talked about the fact that reps, like in the weight room, make you stronger. Well, minutes in the NBA are only going to make you a better player. Same in college, Coach.
On the radio.
Yeah, more
reps. Reps.
More minutes you have in front of a mic, the more you understand the business and what you have to do to prep. And it's the same, in any business, but in the NBA, you have to play and you have to have a sixth sense built with your teammates to take it to the next level. Why do you win a championship like OKC? Well, they're young, but they've been together now.
Well, and you saw the teams they rolled through here that were winning 17 games.
It's unbelievable.
With Pokachevsky starting at the 5.
Yeah.
Who's not even in the league anymore.
No.
Right? But we watched all that.
Yeah, we watched it. And so did the fans. And these last 3 years have been a process. The big jump happened around All-Star break, and then Triple J comes in. Conchar, I thought, was a nice addition just because of his defense that the Jazz are looking for. Someone to put a hand in a passing lane, someone to deflect, someone to steal, someone to block. Those are what makes a Lugan Dort so important for OKC. Is he his household name? No. But he's one of those guys that starts that, actually causes havoc on the floor. And the Jazz are looking for those type of players to be dedicated, to be a defensive-minded player. Can he play two ways? Absolutely. Will Hardy be really happy if you can go play offense and bust your tail and get back on the defensive side. But, I'm impressed that the Jazz fan base stayed with the Jazz. The Delta Center was continued to be sold out or nearly 95% capacity. That includes Upper Bowl, by the way. But they're in. They wanted to see the process, and they grew and saw the Bryce Senzabahs, the Filipowskis, the Isaiah Colliers take steps. Incremental, frustrating at times, absolutely. But, you saw the progress, especially in the second half of the season.
Okay, so they have the number 2 pick here, and Timmy already alluded to it. There's 4 guys, and it feels like it's really kind of 2 guys. It's AJ or it's Darren Peterson. From your vantage point, because you watch this team as close as anybody, because you're calling these games, what do the Jazz need most in terms of is there a skill set they need most on this roster from your vantage point with this pick?
It's a good question. The development of Keontae has kind of erased some thought of guards, but you have Collier, who I thought made other leaps as well. Those two give the Jazz and Will Hardy different combinations. One, Key can play off ball, while Isaiah, with his speed, can push tempo, right? So then Key can flip back to the 1, and he can play alongside Ace or however. Will Hardy, what he has this year is multiple combinations that he's never had before.
True.
Right? So he can go big, he can go small, he can go slow half-court set, he can go blast it down the floor. He can play
what a
zone.
Luxury. I mean, finally.
I mean, this is going to be year 5. And so you think finally he can show off his coaching skill set, and hopefully the players are better overall defensively, and they connect. And that's the biggest key for any coach, is to have a team that's connected and understands the goals and put their egos aside. That's tough to do in the world we're living today. But to get back to your question, I mean, Darren Peterson is unbelievably talented at a 6'5" guard. And AJ, we all know. I mean, if you've watched BYU, you know what he's about, and the dedication that the Jazz, have had with him and Provo. I tell you, Caleb Wilson from North Carolina is a semi-outlier, but a talented player at 6'10", and gets high accolades for playing both ends of the floor. And then you got the booze, we know what
no slouch. I mean, he was the player of the year.
Yeah, you know what Carlos is all about. And his sons are kind of the chip off the old block, but still, I think it comes down to letting Austin and Danny and Ryan and Justin kind of let things settle and see where some of the talk, because there's all sorts of stuff out there. The noise is loud right now.
Oh, yeah.
On everyone's an expert. No, I'm not in that pay grade. So I just sit back and, you can think like any fan, like, hey, man, that would be interesting. Wow, AJ, wow, what? I tell you what, that would be an awesome, and you stack your bench even more with that move, whether he's a starter or starts a career, off the bench with a Senzabaugh or a Filipowski. So there's so many options there, but AJ is most known locally. Peterson's, kind of getting the bad rap, and you have to investigate that.
Oh, man, like to the core.
You have to, because it's such a huge investment for the next 10 or 12 years. Because, look, this isn't just a 3-year window. Ryan made a bit very clear that the window, much like Golden State, much where Oklahoma City is right now, much where San Antonio is that you have to have an 8 to 10-year window of competition where you are a legit player in the West or the East. Detroit's trying to be that as well, right?
Just
Boston,
hold on to the lead at the end, though.
Right.
Ooh.
Well, yeah. Boston was there, but then the injury came. Yeah. And so, now it's a little shaken, but do they recover? And they have the talent if Tatum and Jaylen Brown can, find it back together. But I think it's basketball. I tell you, the biggest news was always about tanking around the league. I hope that that for the Jazz, this takes care of it for what went down.
Yeah.
Other teams have been doing it for years, and you just wish that for the fan base, it's great just to see if they can just come to a game and get their money's worth and be entertained around the league. Look, there's a lot of empty arenas, not empty, half, and it's because on a given night, there's teams that just, don't put forth, the effort that needs to be out there because the ticket prices are what they are, and you come and you want a hot dog and a beer or a DC, if in Timmy's case, Diet Coke.
I'd do all three.
Okay.
Hot dog, beer, and chase it with a Diet Coke.
First quarter, second quarter, third, then just before they shut the door.
They cut it off, and Timmy's like, okay, we're
no more beer sales.
No more. Yeah, but I think it's just fascinating time because it's, especially for the Jazz. We all remember 97, 98 in the Stock Malone era, Hotz and Jerry and Larry. And now it's the clock continues to tick, tick, tick. And is this the new beginning of a new, kind of a uptick, a big uptick under Ryan and Ashley? And Delta Center's got the facelift. I love to say, the place is still there, the Delta Center, which is what it was originally. And hopefully new memories are going to be made quickly.
I know you spend a ton of time with Will Hardy. You interview him every game.
Yep.
Before the game, and there's always the time because I see it on the television while
they're
waiting to get stuff ready.
Yeah.
So I see the behind the scenes, but you guys seem to have a great relationship. Just speak to, and I want to preface this by saying, the Dagnalt at Oklahoma City, he eclipsed 500 as a coach during last year's Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
So it took that long. Took a couple of years for him to build up wins. I see the same thing happening with Will. Will is a guy I am sold on. But just give us some thoughts about hanging around Will and what you see from Will.
Wicked sense of humor, kind of dry at times, but still comes over and just says some things before we hit, and we just go.
All I see is the reaction, so I do see laughs and stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, and an NBA coach, I mean, it's 24/7, and there's very little downtime. But I think you have to appreciate the fact that he can come in and sit down, and he's always talked openly and honestly. I think he was great this year. He knew, that we were struggling just to find storylines, and we had to talk about 10-day guys at times, and Conchar, and what sometimes we even went with what the bench or what the guys on the bench were doing, and it was difficult. It's been a challenge for him, but I think he's kept the communication lines really open. What I see is that he knows his players. They are bought in. It's like he always says, it's not my team, it's our team. And in a way, he comes from the Popovich coaching tree, and Pop was a tough nut, as we all know. And I think he learned some of that, but Will has his own coaching style. So you mix that in with a year in Boston, and you come to Salt Lake, and you get the drift of what the Jazz need to do. They made huge changes. Quinn Snyder had his run. Rudy and Donovan. Danny decides to rebuild, and this is the process. And he's all in. And now you hopefully reap the reward of success. I think people still want to see what kind of defense that the team can deliver, because really you look at the two past champions in Boston and OKC. I mean, they played both ends of the floor, and OKC was the best team I saw this year. Relentless on both ends. And if they win another championship, which I think they most likely will unless injury comes, OKC is the best team I saw.
All right, Bowler. So, PK and his penchant for coming up with nicknames.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a new one I need to run by you next.
Okay.
I'm very interested to hear your take on this, because he brought it. Literally, we found out this morning what it is.
Oh, boy.
We'll get to that next. More in a moment. Scotty G and the coach, Jay Catch, sitting in alongside Timmy. More in a moment with Bowler right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Scotty G and the coach here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jay Catch sitting in for Scotty G. All right, Tim, I got to ask you this question, because I listen to you jam and riff all the time.
Yes, you do. You're one of my on there more than most.
Because you're awesome. Just be very clear.
So if you don't know, I have an Instagram. I play at night. I just go in there and I'll turn on live. It's kind of how I
get a call once in a while.
Oh yeah, he'll call you sometimes too.
Yeah.
I just pop in. I'm usually just bebopping around the house. I'll just listen to him jam and whatnot. I got to ask you, where does Led Zeppelin, where they line up in the all-time?
One.
Oh, they're number one. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your where you got them?
Well, I mean, Led is top 3 for me,
Okay.
but I'm a little older, so I started with Foghat.
Okay.
Okay, Fool for the City.
Yeah.
Fool for the City. I mean, and I tell you, and Timmy knows this. I was so not impressed, but I was just like in awe of Eddie Van Halen.
Okay, so
in awe.
DJ likes to make fun of me all the time, because I have a very old school music preference, and that's
because you grew up
80s.
with like you listened to your dad's stuff.
Exactly.
It's because you were bebopping around.
Bebopping around, yes. My dad thinks Eddie Van Halen is like the guy.
He is the guy.
And so my dad played in 3 bands growing up in high school. If you met my dad today versus my dad from high school, it'd be 2 very different people. It's a very story time.
I've actually turned into the guy back. I went 17 through life, then I'm back to 17.
You're back to 17, okay. But Van Halen is his number one, and that's, trust me, my mom forever rues the day my dad gave me and my brother, just younger than me, the Van Halen's Greatest Hits, the original Greatest Hits CD. We played that CD so much at the Hatch household that she ended up breaking it. I'm pretty certain.
Word out.
Yeah.
You got to see him. You got to see Van Halen live.
No.
Oh man.
You never saw him live?
No.
I saw
did
them.
not.
I saw all iterations. I saw David. I saw
Sammy.
Okay.
Which one did you like
Ben
best?
Hagar, as they say.
Well, it's hard not to. I identify with Sammy more.
Okay.
I'm more of a laid back, grow your hair back, everybody do your thing, just, it's all cool, as opposed to a guy preening. I'm not a preener. You know what I mean? The way David preens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just all kind of style, but I think in terms of vocals, Sammy's a better vocalist. But I think Van Halen made more magic music with David.
Yeah, so the whole premise of this is, I think my dad, if I were to ask him, I think he'd say, well, Van Halen 1, I think he'd have Led Zeppelin 2. They were like the two bands that we listened to most with my pops when we were driving around.
Yeah.
And DJ, you can ask him about this if you ever get a chance to talk to David. Just ask him, like, is Jake's music preference just much older than he actually is? And he'll say, absolutely.
I actually take that as a compliment.
I do. And
I look at people listening to music today and like, what? You need to be educated.
It's classic rock.
Yeah. I've got younger kids. My oldest is 9. And my daughter, she's tried to drag me back into the top 40 mix, and I'm like, I don't like any of this.
No, it is no good. What is the best show you've been to, Bo?
Oh, man.
Because you were a concert goer at some point.
Big time. Yeah,
Was
man.
it Foghat?
Well, that's the first.
You saw them
I had to talk
first?
my folks in. I had going to meet a couple of high school buddies, and I talked my dad into dropping me off, and I said, I'll find my way home. And we got home, but I thought, wow.
It was about a week later?
Yeah, a week later.
Yeah.
Well, I was just walking down the road, and somebody picked me up and said, I'll take you home. No, I'm kidding. But it was that to me was like the lights, the show, and that's the other part of the music is the show within the show.
Correct.
And you go, wow, man, this is a long time ago, but they still put on a heck of a show.
I was hoping you'd say the Party Hounds was your favorite concert.
Party Hounds. Well, that was a good one down in Provo, pal.
Yes.
You were rocking.
I rocked. You rocked.
I watched you.
I'll tell you.
Great time, man.
Yeah,
What a night.
that was so fun.
I got to get you a T-shirt. So
Party
you can
Hound
rap.
T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll do it. Saw Elton John.
I saw Elton
on
John.
his farewell.
He's great.
Yeah, that was good. I saw Paul McCartney
At the
Delta Center.
Delta Center.
Yeah.
I was at that concert, actually.
I saw Joan Jett in Vegas. I saw Def Leppard.
I hate myself for loving you.
Def Leppard twice.
Leppard. Okay.
That's a high-level band, man.
I was ripped on for liking them by Lloyd and Scott this week.
Why?
Wow.
They don't like them.
Wow. Lloyd.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, I didn't quite catch it. Who was that again?
You're not a Def Leppard fan? Is that what we're getting out of this?
That was more Scotty. That was more Scotty.
I was abused for it.
You're getting dunked on by both.
I keep a
abused
list here of things I got to
Just a little bit.
rectify. And
Yeah. He's got this red pen, Lloyd, and he's writing down your name.
Scotty
with
might
an
have
X.
made
With
a
a
joke
slash.
about
Def Leppard. Yeah, there you go.
Scotty might have made a joke about a missing
they
arm,
did, and I'm not
possibly.
going to repeat it.
Yeah, it probably shouldn't even
I'll
be
tell him
repeated.
off air. Yeah.
All right, Bowler. So, more story time real quick. Growing up, you were the sound of my sports highlights growing up because you worked for KSL TV at the time.
13 years.
My parents were KSL 5 devotees. Like, that was their channel. So you were the soundtrack to my childhood of catching up on all the sports stuff. I was read the sports page and then hear Bowler break it down.
We
on
had a great
TV.
time.
Absolutely.
Had a great time.
So my son, who is becoming a sports nut in his own right, he's 7. He only knows you as the voice of the Utah Jazz because Dad's always he knows when the Jazz are on, I'm watching the games. And when I told him that you were coming out today, he said, will you tell Mr. Bowler I appreciate what he does?
That's kind.
So,
No, that's a nice.
So Colton wanted to pass that along.
It's better what I hear on X sometimes.
Hey, I've got to tell you this, though. You got to everybody's got an opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, our teacher, my professor in college said, look, if someone doesn't say hello or talk about you, then you're out of the business anyway. And it's kind of, it's even more so now with social media.
Yes.
And I think that's going back to the Jazz. I mean, part of that is leave the phone down.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time that they couldn't even, you take a break or, a little water, sit down. First thing they do is grab a phone.
Well, ask Kevin Durant about that.
Yes. Yeah.
You gotta just be careful what you don't want to disparage your teammates like KD.
Yeah, but I think that kind of goes. You mentioned it before the break. You talked about how a guy like Will Hardy's kind of, and I think he's finally got like that full deck of cards, to use the expression now, with the roster that it looks like it's going to have this coming season. I think he's been very good about, as you mentioned, being very open with his players.
Right.
I think he understands the challenges they're going through because they are social media obsessed. They're obsessed with their image in the greater public. And I think he navigates it in a way, to your point, where he's trying to encourage them, hey, you don't always need to have your nose buried in that phone.
No.
Let's get out there and work.
It's about mental health.
Yeah.
And I think the league, along with the Jazz, all now understand that more than ever. It wasn't an issue during the Sloan era, right? It wasn't an issue for John or Carl.
Yeah.
I doubt John would even pick up a phone anyway today if he was, if it was a John Stockton of 2020. But it's a stressor that you don't need, but also human nature brings you back to it because you want to know what people think, and you like the accolades, but then also you have to live with the negative comments that come with it as well. Everyone's an expert. And the other part of it for me is that many hide behind a name that we'll never know.
Correct.
Who they are, but they know you. So you become an easier target. But that's part of the business. And, I get it. I love what I do, and I love meeting fans at the arena. Big T could run for governor in my book and probably just be
of any state, it seems.
Yeah.
He just is revered.
He's amazing. Everywhere we go, it's a funny story. He won't mind me telling this, but he's been mistaken for James Worthy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Who else? Who's no longer with us? It was pretty funny. The guy wanted his autograph. Oh, it's Wilt Chamberlain.
No.
And the kid goes, "You're Wilt. Can I have your?" He goes, "Kid, do you know that he's dead?" It was great.
You got to stop asking for that.
You can't ask that.
There's not an authentic one out there.
You can't ask that. But no, T's been through it all. Yeah. And I tell you, the time with Jimmy Valvano at North Carolina State, you don't think you lived a life there? Wow. And the Cinderella of college basketball in '83. And then you become a 7 pick for the Jazz, and he's part of the foundation of who the Jazz are today.
Correct.
They built the foundation brick by brick. Mark Eaton, Big T, Ricky Green, then comes Stockton, then comes Malone. Holy cow! And now you have to hope that these
and the
picks,
mayor Ostertag.
Yeah, the mayor. Yeah,
he is now the true mayor.
Yeah, he is the mayor. Mayor Greg Ostertag.
Yeah.
How about that?
I texted him, and I said, "Are you going to?" I said, "Congrats." He said, "Thanks, Bowler." I said, "You come out for a visit?" He goes, "When they start to win again." I thought it's got to be this year, pal.
I was going to say, you're going to see it next season then.
You need to use your clout to get us a trip out there. You and I go do a little thing. His restaurant and bar is so cool. And my parents have a lake house right there, so we go out on the lake. My parents live in that town. He's the mayor of my parents'
Let's
place.
go. And doesn't he have a farm of llamas?
Oh, yeah, he's got llamas.
Exotic animals it's so Ostertag.
Yes.
But, I talked to him for a minute, and the one thing I will say, I got there early to the restaurant. I wanted some breakfast, and it was his wife that was working at the time. And I said, is Greg in today? He's like, how do you know Greg? I said, I'm from Utah. I just want to say hey. And he came rolling in, talking to late, about 45 minutes after she said he'd be there. And I was just finishing up my meal. But he seemed so happy and comfortable. And that's what you want for dudes, man.
Yeah.
Because he gave a ton, and he's in the spotlight, but he's living his best life right now.
I've really got to know Tag. I like him. He's a 7-footer. He's an emotional guy. He does care. I think he's been really rough on himself. Post-career that he wishes he could have done more. His relationship with Sloan was I guess well documented. They had their issues, but still a lot of love and respect for both. Yeah,
absolutely great. But you talked about it. I mean, talking about Thurl being a hallmark of that, getting the Jazz to a winning situation. He missed 3 games in his first 9 years.
It's a different era.
That's your partner right there, and you can count on him.
And PK likes to talk about the fact that he played 84 games in an 82 schedule one year. The trade to Minnesota.
Yeah, that's right.
The way the schedule played out, he played 84 games in an 82 season.
Yeah,
82 game season.
How often does that show up in a stat? He he would be my best thing about Thurl is he's a listener, and he is just incredibly gifted around people. Incredibly gifted. He listens. He listens.
I'm so glad that he ended up here because he has been massive for this community, and the Jazz are in the midst of another rise. In fact, the Jaren Jackson trade it kind of gave me the chills because it felt a little Hornacek to me.
It did.
Kind of giving us another veteran piece around these.
Did it not? Did you guys both feel, though, and the whole city just kind of went,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was an airlift like, wow. You know what? Because it echoes back to what Austin said about we're going to go big game hunting. Well, when? Well,
and everybody jumped him because, Drew Eubanks is your.
Yeah.
Well, if there's nothing out in the past, if there's nothing out in the hills to shoot, you don't waste a bullet.
Yeah. Yeah, he waited and turned the deal. I tell you, Memphis is retooling. Triple J seems to be absolutely thrilled to be here, as does Nurk. What they do, I don't know. But, K-Love, I think he'd be a hell of a coach. If he wants to be.
I'd love to see him back just in a support role, like as a player. He was, and when he played, he was drilling threes like he was in his prime.
It's always, as T said, muscle memory, and it's true. I mean, he had the ball in hand, knew where he wanted to be on the three-spot wing, knocked it down, could still fight and rebound, kept himself in great shape mentally. I mean, he's solid, and Nurk found himself on a rebirth here. My gosh,
triple-double king, Jake.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, I think Kevin Love alone, for what he did as a mentor for Keontae George, is worth bringing him back for.
It's a great point.
Because, as I understand it, was the locker right next to Keontae, and he became a sounding board for him. Because Kevin talked about the fact that when he was early on in his career, he was in some of these franchises, like, I didn't have that support. I want to be that for these guys.
Most of that era lived on their own.
Yeah.
They were swimming with barely their head above water. Things have changed. And to have that veteran or veterans who come in and help a young guy or a young group of guys take it to the next level, I tell you, it's been a marvelous thing and the Jazz have had Kelly Olynyk. Saw him play the other night.
Unbelievable teammate.
KO is unreal.
I love that dude.
And hated to see him go.
Oh, I hated playing against him, too, when I was coaching against him.
He's a guy that you want on your team, but you hate going against him.
Yeah. Just solid, savvy, a little slow, but played at his own pace and could knock down a shot. But the Jazz have had some multiple vets come in and help this process. And I think all of them have to be kind of tip of the hat because they all were there at a Pacific time to just let the Jazz jump to the next level. Small increments, yes, but now you see the growth. And that's what excites me is to see a Sensabaugh who just finished his fourth year actually understand he can do more than shoot threes. He's got a 6'6 frame, 6'5 frame, 225. He understands that he can put the ball on the floor and he can punish a defender and drive and score. He can rebound. And he's got a little bit of a tough guy attitude now. And, what was Will looking for? He wanted alpha. He wanted some alpha males. And I think the Jazz, when you're 19, I don't know if it's a special person who says, I can just come in here and take this type of responsibility. You have to grow into it a little bit, and I see a couple Jazz guys growing into that role.
But there's also stuff they got to, there's just know-how stuff in the NBA and the rigor. Like, nobody understands it. You can sit and say 82 games all you want until, like you said, I found out what that means about 6 years ago. It's 82 nights.
Yeah,
and if you're traveling, it's how these guys do it. It isn't a marathon.
Yeah,
it is a major endurance event.
And Jake, the Jazz like to jump on a flight and get out of town.
Yes.
And so when we do, maybe you have a full day off, or on a back-to-back, you have no other choice. But you roll in at 2 a.m.
Oh yeah.
And then you're waiting for your bags, and then you haul that in, and you wait in line to hit the elevator. And
rinse, repeat. And forget what hotel number. You got to look at your card.
You do all the time. One night you're 908. The next night you're in 809.
But how many times?
Like, what?
How many times on a back-to-back have you gone to the next hotel and gone to the wrong room?
Oh, multiple times.
Me too.
I put my card up there and it's red, and I panic. Like, what? I'm on the wrong floor. How did this happen?
Well, I totally believe this happens for everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's par for the course. It's just what it is. Because
they call it living in the tube. And the tube is the plane, the bus.
And your season feels like you're
the
spinning.
hotel, the arena.
Yeah,
and
too.
you just said it, rinse and repeat. It's a crazy world. I wish some fans, could live it with us. And I've run across people who said, "Man, I love to go." And I said, "Well, yeah, I tell you what,
You make it about 3 times.
You'll love it for a week.
Rest up, and then you want to go home." I tell you, when we're in our 9 or 10 day trip,
forget it.
man. It's like, when are we getting back home? Yeah.
All right, we will have more in a moment with Bowler. Do want to remind you guys, we are live today at Tim Dolly Mazda here, 10785 South Automall Drive in Sandy. Their Memorial Day sales start this weekend, so if you want to get a jump on the holiday weekend, please do that. Rates as low as 0%, up to $7,000 off any plug-in hybrid right now. And by the way, if you come in, you buy a car, and you mentioned you heard about us here on the KSL Sports Zone, you will get a $500 gift card to some location like Home Depot, essentially whatever you want. You name where you want it from, they'll take care of you guys. They are looking for trades. Auction prices are rising. They want to make sure that they take care of you that way. And they also have a 99% approval process. So incredible deals. Jake and the guys down here, absolutely awesome. Stop on by. More with Bowler. Final hour of the program gets underway next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good night's sleep.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Scotty G and the coach here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. And Bowler, your wish is our command.
Yes. Little Eddie.
That harmony, Van Halen harmony, too.
Yeah.
Michael Anthony on the top.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Alex is still, I guess, the band can't be Van Halen without, Eddie.
Yeah, they ain't even trying. Just don't go see David. I hear it is atrocious.
Ooh.
Well,
bad.
And
I heard he got some backup singers.
He's bad, dude. It's bad.
You've seen him then? Is that where you're
I've seen enough of what is being done.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Jay Catch, Tim LaComb, Craig Bolerjack hanging out for another segment with us here. And Bowler, we've been talking about the Jazz and what kind of feels like the launch of kind of a new era for the Jazz.
Right.
And I grew up, I was in elementary school in the 97-98 era, and then I got into junior high when the kind of the teardown with Jerry happened. They kind of rebuilt it back up with
Man, you're rubbing it in right now, aren't you?
I was in elementary school.
Like,
that's
come
all
on, man.
That's all I can tell you. That's
You're looking at two old dudes over here.
I know, but trust me, this is stuff DJ gets mad
All
at
right,
me
sorry,
about.
go ahead.
But I watched the D. Will and C. Booz era play out through my junior high school years, and then it's been torn back down. But it feels like you talked about when Jaren Jackson Jr., that trade went down. It was like, hey, sweet, 4 years of all this, and it completely changed the whole tone and the feel around this team. What are you looking forward to most? Are you looking just forward to I think you mentioned it earlier, fans getting their money's worth in terms of when they come to these games? Because Jazz fans showed up through the entirety of this thing.
They never waved the white flag.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. I think that's a great credit to what Jazz Nation is, and they've been that way since I got here.
Yeah.
I mean, I was here as a 12-year-old in '85.
Good luck.
But that's the one thing I always noticed, that Salt Lake's grown so much.
Yeah.
But it was the only game in town, besides up on the hill and down in Provo, man. Blue versus red. And I just love the fact that the fan base has continued to grow. Like your son at 7. Wow, he's into the NBA and the Jazz. That's what it takes. It's generational. You pass it, father, son, mother, daughter, whatever, it is, or you go as a family.
Yeah.
And, I think that's the most impressive part. The Jazz have weathered the storms. There's been more than one. And now you hope that the sky's clear. And I know it's a silly analogy, but they reap the benefit of all this time down on putting, one piece here, one piece there, or evaluating would be the word.
Yeah.
And development, I mean, those are the words that have been used time and time again over the last 3 years. We have to give them time. Let's develop. Let's go through the process. And now you have to make tough decisions, as Will has said. So, this is a tough business. Some of these players will be with us. Some of these players will not. And that's the truth of it. And, you know, if they can use one piece to move another, and that's the business of basketball. It's tough because you get close to an individual and you want to see them succeed, but, you know, GMs kind of stay quiet for a reason. I mean, I think the Angels have done a great job connecting, but at the same time they have a job to do that Ryan hired them to do. It's almost an impossible job at times, but the ultimate goal is Danny's been through it. As a player, title, GM, title. He's been there on both sides of the ball, and I think that's why, you know, Ryan obviously trusts him and his son Austin to make these tough decisions on players that actually will benefit the Jazz, be on the roster, and give this team depth. I think depth, Tim, I mean, you can speak to this. I mean, to really be high level like OKC is if you have a player knocked down or foul trouble, then you plug in your bench guy and you don't miss a step. That's where the Jazz want to be. Can you build the depth? Can you stay financially fiscal and still get it all done? Well, that's a big challenge.
But a lot of things have to happen, and one of the things, you know, that in this new collective bargaining agreement, you know, you're really hoping that young guys can come in on that rookie contract and punch above their weight.
Right.
Like Jalen Williams did for Oklahoma City, right?
Well, and now A.J. Mitchell is that for them.
Right.
He's on a $3 million
I mean, even more
deal.
so because he was a second-round pick.
Well, I'm just saying,
I mean,
because
right.
he's on a $3 million deal, and he is contributing 20 points in the playoffs.
Right.
Like, you need to find those. You mentioned Lou Dort.
Yeah.
Undrafted free agent. Like, you have to find those guys.
You do.
But I think that the key to what Oklahoma City has is more what you were talking about earlier, and it's where the Jazz can go. They are, regardless of who they pick this year, they can compete size-wise with Oklahoma City and San Antonio as good as anybody can.
Yes.
They're going to have the size to do that. But the pieces that Oklahoma City has and why they're constructed so well, if they want to go big, they can go big. If they want to go small, they can go small. If you want to go rugged and just beat your head in, they can do that too. You know, they put in the other Jalen Williams, a couple of dudes that'll just knock you around.
The Arkansas Jalen Williams.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my point is that I like that rosters are becoming a little more get 2 stars or 3 stars and fill it in with anybody else. It ain't going to work anymore.
Yeah.
You've got to have a fairly complete team that is going to have enough shooters to make you have enough spacing on the offensive side, and you can't play guys that can only shoot and can't defend because defense is a big piece in this league too. One thing the Jazz have going for them defensively, and they're going to get better immediately because of the length. Now, the emphasis, Will's already talked about it, emphasis is going to be defense. So they're going to grow and learn, but you go back and look at what he was trying to piece a defense with together. Defense is about knowing where the other guy is and communicating that. When you're playing different dudes every night, different guys are starting, you don't know who's in and out of the lineup, over a 4-year period of time, it's a miracle they got any stops, you know. So to me, there is real promise that this team can be really good defensively too.
To your point, even though the losses came last year, I still was impressed with the effort.
Me too. It was markedly different.
And it was, and it almost like a light. To your point, Jake, is that the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade said, all of a sudden, the league took notice, by the way. Our fan base, Jazz fan base, took notice, and they said, okay, lights on. We're not in the dark.
Lights on. Yep.
Light just went on, knowing that we're in a serious moment. And that's what I felt, personally.
I heard these words, and I don't know where I got them, but buckle up.
Well, it's true.
I tell you, I hope there's some more buckle up nights, big time coming up, because those are fun games and fans engaged and the energy that comes out of it. That's why it's such an addicting sport. The speed, the strength. You know, sometimes you get a bad whistle more than once, but it is what it is, and you play through it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest key now. You just have to say, okay, move on. and let the emotions go where you want. Stay focused on the big prize and go out and bust tail. I mean, the Jazz are relatively young, despite Marketing and Triple J being, 9 year, 7 year.
He's 26.
Yeah.
These guys are ready to go.
And, think about it. 4-year players who come out at 22, 23, and then you have to give them a year or two to – I mean, they're at where they are, but they've already had 7 years of NBA experience. It's fascinating. The youth coming out, there's a few high schoolers. They come out, LeBron being one. C.J. Miles, who we talked to, joined us for a couple of games this year. Talked about his struggles coming out right out of Skyline High School down in Texas.
Larry Johnson's high school.
Yeah. And it's not easy. And I think the expectations are always high. Well, you're in the league. You ought to be able to play. Well, it takes time to understand your role and understand, I think, a coach's language, Tim, as you know, and also just have the sixth sense that makes a great team greater.
One thing I want to add, because I do believe that the Jaren Jackson move happened because Keontae did what he did this year. I think the Jazz were looking to, okay, now's the time because we have got another dude. And Keontae had a phenomenal year. You spoke to not just the basketball stuff, but he shed some of the other things. But I'm really intrigued to watch his continued growth and leadership piece on this team.
Yeah.
We saw it on TV time after time, guys getting interviewed, and Keontae would come over and be there like the Oklahoma City guys started to do. But how different was that from the year before?
You wanted to say, what's happened? Because it's fun.
Yeah.
And
it's awesome.
And the players and the fans, I think, notice and appreciate it. You're right about OKC. I mean, that team is tight. Why? They win together. They put their egos aside. And I love the fact when whomever may get interviewed, it's all together. It's 6-7 guys piling around Caruso, or they pile around SGA, or they may pile around Jalen. But they're in it. And I think Keontae's trying to just – maybe that's who he is, that we're just seeing the true Keontae coming out, man. He wants to be a part of something big.
Well, and then he goes to New York, and the first time the Jazz ever move up. So I think there's something to this guy.
And he also invited his teammates to Dallas to work out last year.
Which set the whole
That's
season
the sign
in
of
motion.
leadership.
Yeah.
And I think that can't get lost in the discussion about his growth and where the Jazz are now.
Well, and that's the other thing about it is he was a guy that last year was a prove-it year. If he hadn't been what he was, he's probably being moved. Let's be clear. Like, he was probably going to be trade bait at that point. He's going to be like, all right, what can we get for this guy? And now he's kind of an integral piece. And now, you think about it, the lineup could be him. It could be Ace Bailey alongside him. And Ace is in shoes, 6'9". Let's say you add an AJ Dybantsa, who's 6'10" in shoes. And then your front line, JJJ's 6'10" with a 7'4" wingspan. Lowry's 7 foot. And Walker Kessler, 7'1", who's a defensive force. And that lineup, Buller, that's huge.
Well, then talk depth that comes with it.
Flip coming off the bench.
Yes,
who's galvanized.
Sensabaugh, and also Isaiah Collier.
Correct. Yeah.
That can give you that different speed and tempo.
Don't count out Conchar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My guy Conchar is going to find the floor.
Suddenly you're 10 to 12 guys deep, and that's kind of what the new era of the NBA is requiring, is you have to have essentially 10, maybe 12 guys that you can count on. Because I think in this era, the era of guys playing 82 games in a season is past. I think the 65-game rule is in effect, but more and more guys are playing closer to that 60 mark, Buller.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You got to have other guys who can step into those roles on any given night and not have the drop-off.
Right. There was I read or listened to a podcast that kind of mentioned Tom Thibodeau about wearing out his starters.
Oh, no tread Thibodeau?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, how well they could play during the regular season. But Sloan was always one, too, to say, look, you have to still have gas in the tank to play postseason. And that's really going to come into play here in the next 4 weeks.
Correct.
Whoever gets into the finals and actually who actually wins the NBA title. So, there was a time a badge of honor was 82, and it depends too, Jake and Tim. Stockton Malone made you feel guilty if you weren't on the floor.
It's true.
And so they were the leaders, and people followed like, you know what, I got a bad hamstring or I'm a little sore tonight, but I'm going to play. And I'm not sure that there's a lot of that same attitude today.
Yeah.
It's like, I better take care of myself.
Yeah.
Or an agent may impact that. Or, also medical staff have to be careful as well. Got to take care of our guys. It's a huge investment.
Oh, yes.
And so better be safe than sorry. And that's what, kind of the league is. But if you can play 70, tip your hat.
Oh, yeah.
65, you're getting there.
Yeah.
But you hope you can see a guy go 70, 72. Maybe you miss 10. You're going to have an ankle sprain on occasion. But you're right, Jake. It's about who steps in behind him and how much do you lose or do you just stay even?
Correct.
And they can still do enough to get you a win, especially on the road.
Well, that's what the OKC model is.
Yeah.
Like, they don't drop off.
No, their motto is don't play with your food.
Yeah.
They just annihilate, and they have most of the time, and so it's setting up nice for the Spurs. That they'll give them a test, and we'll see if they can get over the hump. This was I just want to read this to you.
Okay.
Back in history, this is the roster that's fairly salary capped and forces the move. Okay, I'm just going to read the roster to you, and I want you to think about the roster today.
Okay.
Rudy Gobert making $35 million, Donovan making $28. Then you got Conley, Bojan, Clarkson, Royce O'Neal, Juancho Hernan-Gomez, Rudy Gay, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Hassan Whiteside, Azubuike, Pascal, Daniel House, Jared Butler, and Trent Forrest. There's your squad. And now, you read down. That it's been a miracle. I mean, this has been an incredible job by this front office, acquiring more options and then hitting on them, getting the right dudes.
Yeah.
Because that is stark. I mean, that is the roster then.
From 6 down, the depth that we just spoke of really was not there.
Right, but also the versatility. You've got Conley's a 6-foot guard.
Yeah.
Bojan, who couldn't guard you or me. And I love Bojan, but he wasn't going to guard us. And Clarkson, he paid his dues here. He was great here. But I don't know, his clock and everything else, it was just going to expire. So.
And he was all O and little D.
So, I mean, it's incredible.
What an entertainer, though.
I know.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I love him.
What an
Come on,
entertainer.
flame on from you.
Flame on.
Hey, man, I'm all for the Knicks right now for him, too. I would love that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
JC, get a little hardware?
Yeah, that'd be really
Look
cool.
at Nickeil Alexander-Walker, most improved player.
Yeah.
Went up to Minnesota and then, moved on. But the kid,
Back with Quinn.
Yeah.
And
Quinn saw something.
They unlocked him.
Yeah.
I liked him when he was here. I was that was one I felt bad about when we let him go. I felt like that. But, you got to make moves in order to move the roster
What's
around.
Mike now? 18 years in?
Oh, he's
Mike
gotta
Conley?
be
19?
Something like that. Yeah. He's still doing it.
I think he needs more money or something. I don't know. No, he just loves to play. That guy just freaking loves to play.
He does.
And he's still, like the other night, he was great. In the game they won, he was making shots all over the place at home. So we cheer for these guys. I'm not one of those guys when the guy leaves, I boo them or anything. I like these guys. They helped, like you talked about, they helped keep this thing afloat in the good times, tough times, all of it.
Even Ricky Rubio, in the early days.
Yeah.
Oh, and helped Donovan make that transition, too.
You nailed it on Conley. 18 seasons.
18th.
Yep. 12 with the Grizzlies, obviously, who drafted him in the first round of 2007 draft.
Amazing.
4 with the Jazz, and then obviously the 4 he's been with Minnesota now. So
I talk to him every time I see him, and so does Joe. Joe comes by and Rudy. They love Salt Lake.
Oh yeah.
They had a great experience here, and I think fans should know that. That I think Rudy still has a house here.
He does, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Mike lights up, and so does Jingle and Joe.
We had
Joe's still getting a check.
Yeah, well, and we had Joe on. It wasn't. I mean, this season. He said when they come back through town, they all go to Rudy's house.
Oh, I bet.
And so Joe's like, I'm glad he still has the house because I'll just go hang out there. Anyways, so
nothing like a teammate, man.
Yeah,
forever.
Jingle and Joe Ingles, man, he could do it.
Bowler, thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely.
You're the man.
Thanks for the invite. Happy birthday.
Yeah. The cake, I've had many a birthday cake in my life, but that one you whipped together for me today. The buttercream to go that extra.
That's one of my favorites.
Labor of love.
I love you, my guy.
I love you, man. And congrats on the job, Jake. Good to see you, my friend.
How long do you think I can keep it?
A week and a half.
Okay. Well, I have beat that. I'm a month in.
Another week and a half.
Hey, will you just look at the camera and say hi to my mom? She's watching. Yeah.
Mama.
She loves you.
How are you?
Okay.
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
I forgot. We're on camera?
Yeah. Man. I got a buddy in London watching this right now.
Really?
Yeah.
London. We're overseas. All right. Look at that.
I would have turned around and looked at him more.
That's okay.
Saw the back of my head the whole hour. Hey, what's going on?
That's the highwayman right there.
Well, Bowler, really, thank you again for spending an hour.
Absolutely.
Always
I'm going to
good
look at a
catch up with
Mazda.
you.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to spin the wheel and talk some sports. This is Sports Roulette on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. And, Tim, that is the longest password I've ever seen somebody type into a computer.
Well, I
just looked over, and he's like,
got to make sure it's safe.
Apparently.
I've been ripped on by many a millennial for that.
Nobody is going to break into that computer if that password is that long.
Jake Scott's password is 1234.
Well, are we surprised by that, Lloyd?
Or it might be password.
Oh.
I will tell you this, it is very low energy. You don't have to remember a lot to do it because Jake's got to get to it. But this one right here, I got to change it. A little long for my
I just saw you type it in and I was like, when's he going to stop?
It was a dissertation.
It almost finished up because you obviously have the little enter. It almost filled up the entire box. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, so just just focus on your password. I'm just kidding.
All right, let's get to Sports Roulette. This is, by the way, one of my favorite segments on this show, going all the way back to when Scotty and Hands got together on this. It's one of my favorite things, kind of hit some of the topics we've already hit on, but also some new ones. So, Lloyd, let's spin it.
I love the wheel.
Gen Z golfers.
Well, I think we got Lloyd's ire today, and Bobby Casper seemed to agree.
Yeah. Garrett Higo is a South African golfer, played at UNLV in college, actually. He's
no surprise.
But he was late getting to the tee box yesterday at the PGA Championship and incurred a 2-stroke penalty. And Lloyd Bachmeier, we have the audio of him explaining what happened, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, I want people to hear this. I want to hear his reasoning for his being late. So here you go.
I was obviously, so the rule is that if you're 1 second late, you're late. I was obviously there on time but late. That's a 2-shot penalty. You have 5 minutes then until you're DQ'd. So yeah, I guess I could have taken five minutes longer, or just under that. But obviously it's unfortunate. I usually cut it fine. It was cold this morning. I was trying to stay as warm as possible coming from the range. I think it shows a lot of mental strength, the way I just kept fighting, and it wasn't going to affect my swing or my putting. So it is what it is. I mean, my caddy was on the tee box. I had my putter in my hand. Obviously I didn't have my watch on me. I didn't have my phone with me. I'm already in the clouds a little bit as it is, so I don't know what else to do. I always cut it pretty fine. There's a lot of us who do. We don't want to get to the tee box 10 minutes early and be cold. We have to hit it far and straight. It's our job to do that. I don't really think it's my job to be 10 minutes early. Obviously cut it too fine. I thought I still had a few minutes. I didn't have my watch or my phone on me, and my caddy was dropping off my TrackMan, so went to the putting green, hit one putt, and then heard my name and ran down. I mean, I think that's always been a big strength of mine is, fighting. I always stay in the fight. Might not always be pretty, but I felt like my swing and putting's been in a good spot this week. I haven't had the best year so far. So I just try to make good swings, stay in control of what I can control. Like, there's nothing I can do about being late. I'm already late.
All right, so you can't be on time but late. Sorry, Mr. Higo. That don't fly. And
it is your job to be on time, by the way. Because guess what? That is the very definition of golf. If you make a tee time for 11:35 and you're not there for your tee time at 11:35, you put the people behind you behind.
Yes.
It is absolutely your job.
Yeah, I don't get him trying to explain away. Well, I was just trying to stay warm. It's like, bro, you can 1 minute according to him, one putt on the putting green. It's not going to make the difference for you in this championship.
My job is to hit it straight, not be on time.
I'd never heard of this dude until the last 2 days.
Okay.
But I've made a T chart of strengths and weaknesses of his.
Okay.
I would say a strength is his accent. I think it's really strong.
Yes, a strong South African accent.
And I think that will get your attention any room. I think his resilience obviously spoke of it.
He shot a 69 after incurring a 2-stroke penalty. He was 2 over to start his round.
Okay.
So that's credit. He gets to -1.
Okay, so he's resilient. His accent's stellar.
Okay.
And he's got incredible self-confidence.
Well, yeah.
I mean, talking about all the things. I would say his weakness for sure is punctuality.
Well, yes.
The darn kid can't get to the tee box on time, Lloyd.
I don't know. Have we heard of anybody having the same issue where I didn't even know that was a thing, by the way, that if you're not on time, it's a 2-stroke penalty. I don't remember ever hearing this. Maybe it's because it's a bigger deal because it's a major.
Yeah. Well, because most people are on time, Higo.
But who isn't on time? I know, right?
It's a major championship, bro. Get down there and get ready.
It's not like the the weekend sandbagger.
Exactly.
Make sure you check in.
You're not the local muni over here.
And even then, I think it's still frowned upon if you're late.
Oh no, okay.
It's
here's
absolutely.
The thing. So Lloyd, I played Tuesday. I played men's league. Me and PK.
I've heard that you and PK play men's league. I've heard about this.
So Tuesday, for example, so we have a standing tee time. I played Sleepy Ridge down in Orem, and we have a standing tee time, and it's set for it's 12:10 p.m. is when we tee off. And so Tuesday I get down there, I'm ready to rock and roll, and they call out the group ahead of us, and nobody is moving. Like you usually can see like the movement of the people moving over towards the tee. Somebody moves. Well, so they call us up, so we wander on over, getting ready to rock and roll. My dad, who we were playing with, is teed up and ready to rock and roll. All of a sudden, this group rolls up. Hey, they called us. And it's like, no. You get to wait now.
That's a 2-stroke penalty for that group.
Yeah. They were that group. They decided they were just going to show up whenever they darn well pleased.
Yeah. There's a reason. I've lost interest in actually playing golf because of stuff like that. There's too many tough fellas out there ready to fight.
Yeah, so Garrett Higo,
Higo, get in line and be on time. And that's all I got left for you.
All right, spin it, Lloyd.
Rays get a new stadium. Good news for Utah?
Yeah, so the Tampa Bay Rays, the city of Tampa, as well as the county that they're located in, I think like Hillsborough County or something like that down there, have come to an agreement on a $2.3 billion deal to get the new stadium. Now, Tropicana Field's been repaired.
The Trop?
Yeah, the Trop. But so that's the way they're playing. They played last year at the spring training site for the Yankees because the canopy was destroyed in that hurricane. But they are endeavoring to build a new stadium. And the reason I bring up the good news for Utah is because it's been very clear from Rob Manfred, MLB commissioner, that he needed to get the A's situated in Vegas. He needed to get the new stadium for the Rays done. And then he said that kind of the next steps after that was the expansion, which, I believe the reporting, Nashville and Salt Lake City are the two favored markets to get 2 new MLB teams.
I mean, come on. If we had hockey, and look how I'm going hockey first. If we had hockey, baseball, and basketball here, oh my gosh. Imagine the summer nights out there near the fairgrounds. Yeah. That would be incredible.
The thing I love about baseball is you're right. It fills a hole in our sports calendar here because –
well, baseball's just awesome too.
It is. It is awesome, but for us in the industry, it kind of tides us through to getting to college football, the NFL season. Then we have the Jazz and the Mammoth go, and it just kind of it creates the true year-round loop for us.
Yeah, it doesn't like NBA ends and the college football starts.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a lull there. So I want this to happen. Now, the timeline for it is said kind of the end of this decade, early next decade, because Manfred has said that he wants to, that's kind of his final thing he wants to do. He's already self-imposed when he's going to hang it up. It's the end of the decade, and he says kind of his last act as commissioner is he wants to expand MLB by 2 teams.
Come on, Utah. We need it, and I'm all for it. I know so much work has been done by the Millers and others, so let's get that thing done.
They've laid the groundwork. There's no doubt about that. So I think this is good to see that the Rays are making positive strides on this. Have you been to Vegas recently?
I have not.
So I was down there in February, and the bones of the new A Stadium are already there. There's cranes everywhere, and they're building right there. It's where the former Tropicana the hotel was. They knocked it down.
Lost a lot of money there.
Indeed. But so it's already on its way up. So it looks like these steps that needed to happen are taking place.
Well, that's great news. And, those are the two things that had to happen according to Manfred, and we get those things done, and it's next step and expansions on the horizon. And, people say it'll never happen. They never thought we'd get go move up in the lottery. Big stuff happens here in Utah.
Yeah, you were born in the state. I was born and raised here, and the thought of having 3 of the big 4 sports, and I will also add in the fact that we have Real Salt Lake, the Utah Royals, and soccer. To have as many pro franchises here. Remember, back in the day, it was Bowler said we had the Jazz and we had the 2 college programs in BYU and Utah. To add to that portfolio, I guess is the best way to call it. To have these options for sports fans in the state, I'm all here for it. That's what I dreamed of as a young buck. I wanted to have an MLB team nearby. I wanted to have an NHL team. So. Salt Lake's growing up, Timmy.
Let's do it.
All right. We will come back. Final segment of the show coming up next. More to go. Scotty G and the coach right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Good news for your gas tank. Every day through May 17th, shop at BJ's Wholesale Club and get an extra 5 cents off a gallon on a same-day fill-up at BJ's Gas. Buy practically anything, any day, and save. That means on Monday, extra 5 cents off gas. Tuesday, extra 5 cents off gas. Wednesday, Thursday, yada yada right through Sunday, get 5 cents off a gallon of gas. Shop for what you want, when you want at BJ's to save on gas every day through May 17th. Visit bjs.com/gas promo for details.
The best sports radio in Utah is right here, right here. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Scotty G and the coach here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Jake Ketch, sitting in for Scotty. Timmy, this is one of the great just jams. Speaking of Freebird.
Yeah, it is. That solo right there is top notch. Dave Rose's favorite song right there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The Free Bird.
TIL. Today I learned.
Today you learned. And we learned a lot today. It was great having Bowler come in and sit for an hour.
Yep.
What a guy. Absolutely legendary in the sport. When I was living in Austin, Texas, I watched him do college games on Fox football back in the day. So what a great friend, and it was awesome to visit with him.
Bowler's a stud. There's no doubt about that. All right, you got 2 big games tonight, Timmy. Knockout games. Cavs, Pistons, and then followed by Spurs, Timberwolves. How are you feeling about, I guess, both of these?
I think the Spurs win tonight.
Okay.
I think Minnesota kind of knows their fate at this point, and it's like, I just think they've gotten weaker as the series has gone on. So I feel like the Spurs will win that one. I'm having a hard time. I think the Pistons figure out a way tonight. I just think 60 wins and a toughness that was palpable, in this series at times. I think they find that and force this to a 7.
I'm with you on that. I think the biggest thing for the Pistons is they've got to figure out a way to find some interior presence. Jalen Duren has kind of been invisible for a long stretch of this postseason. He's got to have a game tonight.
They got to score in transition.
Well, sure.
They got to find easier baskets.
They do.
I mean, but that's what you're saying is they got to establish some sort of way to get points, and they go on these long dry spells, and then turnovers have not helped. Cade had some pivotal turnovers down the stretch in that game. They were up 9 with just under 3 minutes and lost.
Yeah, it was inexcusable. Some of the turnovers he had in that one. The Spurs, you mentioned like the Timberwolves kind of been crumbling here. I just think that the Spurs, we're seeing the emergence of Stephon Castle. We're seeing, and obviously Big Vic, as PK likes to call him, Victor Wembanyama. He's a cheat code. He is so hard to play against a guy like that, and he does it on both ends of the court.
You saw, or you heard, maybe you did, I said it's like he played in that first quarter like he arrived in a spaceship.
Yes. Yeah.
And he is slowly, I mean, it's happening right before our eyes, but he's becoming the best player in the league.
Yeah.
Because he, you talk about Jokic and all the things he can do, but he's got fatal flaws. I mean, there isn't anything Wembanyama can't do on the basketball court. And as his strength increases, it's even become more so.
Well, and the biggest thing for Minnesota, if Anthony Edwards was truly healthy, his explosiveness would have made a big difference. But you can tell that knee, he can't do what Ant does. And I think that's a big flaw for Minnesota, especially when you're trying to counter what San Antonio can throw at you.
I mean, he can have the moments, but I think his ability to draw on it time and time, and that's what they need from him in this series, because I think he's got to be the guy that can win it.
Yeah.
Everybody else can do their job, but I agree with you. I think he's hampered just enough that he can't sustain it long enough, and that's why I feel like that will end tonight.
Yeah, we'll see. I love Game 7, so I'm over here like, yeah, let's give us
no,
two
Game 7s are the best.
Yeah, and that'd be fun, but I'm kind of with you. I do think that Detroit will find a way. It doesn't matter what you have to do. You just find a way. But, yeah, I think San Antonio's got this one on lock.
Well, the awesome time down here today at Tim Daly Mazda, Southtown, 10785 South Auto Mall Drive in Sandy. They are actually starting their Memorial Day sale this weekend.
Yes, you get a 2-week head start on everybody else.
Absolutely. And what does that mean? They'll have rates as low as 0%. The one you were excited about was the plug-in.
I drive a PHEV, as they call them, plug-in hybrid EV. I love mine. It's been awesome, and with gas prices the way that they're going, it can save you a little bit in that department.
One thing I've learned from Jake too: if credit is an issue, if you're worried about credit, they have a 99% approval process, and they have ways to figure it out. If you have a trade that will really be valued, because the market right now is crazy on trades. So bring your trade in if you want. And honestly, there's deals that can be done today with no money down. And this is if you're looking for a Mazda, you're not going to find any more inventory than this store right here.
Yeah, rates as low as 0% as well. So
that's big.
A lot of incentives for you to stop on by 10785 South Auto Mall Drive in Sandy. Timmy, thanks for letting me hang out.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you filling in.
Good to see you.
And wish you all an awesome weekend. We'll pick up Monday and see where the sports world leaves us.
Lloyd, Alex, thanks for all you do behind the scenes. Obviously, big thank you to Benjamin and Brant for being here on site and handling things on their end. But we will catch you guys again soon. Coming up next, Jake and Ben right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Country roads take them home, back to the place where they belong.
Ready or not, summer is coming, and Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance is on now. Right now through May 25th, get up to 70% off everything home at Wayfair. Plus, score amazing doorbuster deals all sale long and surprise flash deals on Memorial Day. We're talking thousands of products at every style and budget. Now is the time to save big on must-haves for your patio, backyard, and beyond. These savings won't last, so don't wait. Shop Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance now through May 25th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.